believe! We believe in it! We believe in victory! We believe in victory! We believe in victory! We believe in victory!
An absolutely beautiful night in the New York area. Statue of Liberty in the distance as the Jaguars have made the trip to New York and play in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium tonight against the New York Giants in Game 2 of the NFL's preseason. Hi everybody, Sam Kavaris and Mark Brunell. Mark, Game 2 of the preseason. The Jaguars are hoping, as Gus Bradley likes to say, to stack another game on top of that. Blake Bortles played very well last week, but the running game really set that up.
Yeah, Sam, the running game was impressive last week, and that's what they're looking for. This offense wants to establish the run. We've got a good young quarterback that's only getting better, but I was impressed with Toby Gerhart last week. He was very impressive. He is a downhill runner. He is a physical runner that plays with a lot of passion. Gus Bradley loves this compliment to T.J. Yeldon. The fact that he's healthy this year is a good sign for the Jacksonville Jaguar running game. He is a key component of that.
He can move the pile, too.
Strong physical runner, and that's exactly what you want.
Defensively, the Jaguars are looking to stop those explosive plays. Gus told us today it's okay if you have 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, and then 26. What you don't want to do is give up 4 yards a carry every time the other team touches the ball.
And that's what we saw last year, Sam, and that's where this defense really needs to improve. Now, in the NFL, there are going to be explosive plays. You're going to give up a big pass, a big run, but you want to minimize those as much as possible. And what's important is to have a key inside backer that is your quarterback and that he is your leader. And that is Puz right there. The fact that he's healthy, Sam, means so much to this defense as far as his communication, the way he plays, his passion. When he is in there, when he is healthy, the defense is so much better.
Puz Leslie in his 9th year, clearly, as he has told us in the last couple of weeks, wants to play as long as he possibly can.
And most guys in the NFL will tell you the same thing. And they want to play as long as they can. As long as Puz is in the lineup for us, the Jaguars are in good hands. So glad to hear that from Puz.
Game 2 of the preseason here at MetLife Stadium. The Jaguars and the Giants coming up right after this. Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast, Jaguar Jacksonville. JaguarJacksonville.com. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com for a free rate quote. And Bud Light, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the perfect beer for living life by your own playbook. Live at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where Gus Bradley has brought the Jaguars for game number 2 of the preseason between the Jaguars and the New York Giants here tonight in East Rutherford. Let's join Nikki Kimbleton once again on the sidelines. Nikki.
Well, hello, Sam and Mark and everyone at home. You know, while you Jags fans are going to be watching at home, many of the actual Jaguar players are going to be watching from the sidelines. They made the trip up here to New Jersey, but they will not be dressing out. There's 11 of them that are injured. They include Jonathan Cyprien, Derek Marks, and of course Julius Thomas, who broke his hand during last week's preseason game. The hope is we won't be adding any more to that injury list tonight. Back to you, Sam and Mark.
Thank you, Nikki. The Jaguars won the toss and have decided to receive. Gus Bradley in his 3rd season with the Jaguars, just 7 wins during the regular season. And the first man who brought the franchise to Jacksonville as the head coach, Tom Coughlin. You can see a 164 and 140 overall record, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and certainly has to be in the discussion for a potential Hall of Fame career. The Giants will kick, and the Jaguars send Denard Robinson, as they did last week, deep in the end zone to receive. And we are underway. Jaguars and Giants here, 2nd game of the preseason. Robinson juggles it and takes a knee, and the Jaguars will take over on the 20-yard line. Last week, Blake Bortles had an excellent start to 2015. Mark, of the 4 incompletions, 3 were drops.
Sam, he was sharp, and it's clear that he has improved. He has worked so hard this past offseason, and it shows on the field. made good decisions. His timing was there. The ball, he put it exactly where he wanted to be. We're seeing a much better Blake Bortles going into this season.
Robinson is deep. Bortles at the line of scrimmage. And the give is to Denard. Off right tackle, finds a hole and gains 5. That'll bring up 2nd and 5. The Jaguars virtually have the same lineup as last week. Julius Thomas obviously is not playing, but Stefan Wisniewski is the starter at center this week. So across the front, it's Luke Jokel, Zane Beadles, then Wisniewski, Brandon Linder, and Jeremy Parnell on the offensive line. 2nd and 5 for the Jaguars. Mercedes Lewis is the tight end to the right side. And Bortles in the shotgun. Finds an open receiver, and that's Denard Robinson once again. Should be a first down, and is a gain of 7 and a first down Jaguars. This is the way the Giants defense sets up, and J.T. Thomas we're familiar with, a former Jaguar. Rogers Cromartie in his 8th season there. And the Jaguars clearly are going to try to work hard here on offense to continue last week's momentum. 1st and 10, play action. Bortles over the middle. Finds Allen Robinson with the catch, and that'll be another first down at midfield.
Boy, let's look at this play. We mentioned timing and accuracy. This is just a dart. Watch this route right here. It is a time post route. Blake Bortles sets on his back foot and puts that ball exactly where he needed to be. Listen, he read the defense. He got the ball out on time. There's 2 completions for Blake Bortles early in this game. He's got a little rhythm going, Sam. He's got a little momentum. This is what a young quarterback needs.
Gain of 20, 1st and 10 from the Giants' 49. Bortles under center. Gives it to, once again, Robinson in the backfield. Darts right, left, and maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll be about it. That'll bring up 2nd down. J.T. Thomas, the former Jaguar, number 55 for the Giants.
Well, this is just a missed block by Clay Harbor. He was hoping that Denard was going to go outside. He tried to, but was beat on that point of attack, and unfortunately that was a negative play for the Jags.
Allen Hurns to the right. The Jaguars with 2 receivers to the left, and Toby Gerhart with his first appearance in the backfield. Bortles under center. The give is to Gerhart. And that'll be a gain of about 2, bring up 3rd down for the Jaguars.
Boy, Sam, I can't say enough. When Toby Gerhart gets that ball, he is doing everything he can to get as much yardage as he can. He's jumping over piles, like we said in the open. He's a physical downhill runner, trying to get as much as he can.
He is a north-south guy,
no question.
Plain and simple.
You're not going to see a lot of wide stretch zone plays with Toby Gerhart. He wants to go downhill, and he's looking for contact, Sam.
Jaguars have brought 4 receivers into the game. Rashad Green is in the slot. Mercedes Lewis is out there as well. Allen Hurns at the bottom of the screen. 3rd and 8, Bortles to throw. Little dump down, and it is caught by Green. He gets away from the first tackler and gets extra yardage for the first down on 3rd and 8, as the Jaguars will now set up inside the 40-yard line, a gain of 10. First down, Jacksonville.
Well, everybody's excited about Blake Bortles, but understand it all starts with protection. Again, he gets it out on time. A little bit of a high pass there, but he reads the defense. He has, like I said, Sam, a little momentum. Now he's inside the 40. We're going to try to score some points here in this first drive.
Rashad Green, the Jaguars' 5th-round draft pick out of Florida State, has flashed here in the last couple of weeks of training camp, including these first 2 preseason games. Bortles sees him again, and a little miscommunication between Green, Robinson, and Bortles, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that just seemed to be a miscommunication there, and that's going to happen. You've got a young receiver in Rashad Green. They haven't spent a lot of time on task together, but that, Sam, is what preseason is for. Get out there in game-type situations, work on your timing. They will get on the same page.
And we're going to see a lot of Rashad Green in the slot today because the Jaguars have decided not to run that 2 tight end offense.
That's right. With Julius out of the game, they're going to add a receiver, what they call their 11 personnel, 1 tight end and 3 receivers.
And that's what we've got here tonight. And right now, play action by Bortles. Looks left. He's going for it all. He's got a man one-on-one, but a little bit overthrown. Allen Robinson working hard against Rogers Cromartie there, number 41, as the Jaguars now have 3rd down. Tonight's keys to the game are brought to you by Jaguar Jacksonville. There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast, JaguarJacksonville.com.
Yeah, what Gus Bradley said about that offense, you stack on last week's game, build some momentum, build a little trust with one another in this offense, and they're doing just that.
Gerhardt is the lone setback. Mercedes Lewis in the slot right. Bortles on third down. Pressure and escapes. Uses those legs and finally gets down. Fumbles the football and it is recovered. Wisniewski jumps on it and the Jaguars will retain possession, but it brings up fourth down and Josh Scobie begins to trot onto the field to attempt a field goal.
You know, that was one of the things impressive about Blake Bortles last year is his ability to run. Unfortunately here he got out of a little bit of a mess. You see the agility. He's very elusive. Now get down. Don't take unnecessary hits, Sam, especially in preseason, and you got to tuck that ball away. Turnovers will cost you games. Blake needs to learn from that right there.
Scobie will attempt a 52-yard field goal. Brian Anger will hold. Carson Tinker is the long snapper. Kick is away. It certainly has enough length, and it is good. As the Jaguars take an early 3-0 lead on a 52-yarder by Josh Scobie.
It's not a bad start.
That's what you're looking for. Some points on that first drive. Stay with us right here on the Jaguars Television Network. As the Jaguars take a 3-0 lead here with 10:38 remaining in the first quarter. We're at MetLife Stadium. Scoring drive, 10 plays already, 46 yards. It took 4:22 off the clock, and Josh Scobie with the 52-yarder. That will be Scobie's only field goal attempt tonight, Mark. They are going to give everybody else an opportunity.
But we know Scobie still has it.
He still does.
52-yarder, it's not easy.
And he does the kicking here as well, as the Jaguars kick to Aheem Hunt, who is 5 yards deep and takes it 2 yards deep in the end zone. Gets off to the right side and gets just outside the 20 as the Jaguars defense will come on the field. The Jaguars, by the way, on kickoffs tonight, you'll be able to see a lot of coverage because they're going to try not to kick it out of the end zone because they want to see how the coverage team does.
Yeah, they do, and that's what preseason is for, Sam. You want to evaluate the guys that can really bring value to your football team. A lot of linebackers, receivers that will make this team if they play good on special teams. That's why you give them a chance to cover on kickoffs.
Eli Manning brings the Giants to the line. Former Jaguar Rashad Jennings is in the backfield, number 23. Manning with 3 and 4 wide receivers now in the pattern. No pattern, steps to throw. Deep, and it is not complete. Odell Beckham Jr., last year's fantastic rookie. One of the key players, obviously, for the Giants tonight, Mark.
How many times did we see Odell Beckham's one-handed catch last year? And of course, Rashad Jennings, you mentioned part of the Jaguars not too long ago, and Eli Manning, one of the best in the game.
No huddle for the Giants as they come to the line of scrimmage. Demetrius McCray is now singled up on Beckham Jr. once again. You can see the 91 catches last year. Play action for Manning. Going once again, picking on him, and this time he's open, and this time it's overthrown. A little bit short-armed by the second-year player as he saw a couple of different guys coming after him.
Yeah, you saw that too, Sam. I don't think he wanted any part of that. He saw the safety coming down. Here's what Odell can do. One-handed catch. You know, you tell receivers, never try to catch with one hand. I think Odell's an exception. He's a pretty talented young man.
He saw Sergio Brown coming over, number 38. And here is, once again, no huddle for the Giants on 3rd and 10. Manning with 4 wide receivers. Shane Vereen is the running back, the former Patriot, number 34. That's Beckham in motion. Manning to throw. Over the middle and caught by the tight end. That should be a first down as Larry Donnell makes the catch. They now have ruled that incomplete. Nice solid coverage by the Jaguars, who were right there, but nonetheless, Craig Luston, who's getting a long look tonight, Mark, at that safety position.
He is. With Jonathan Cyprien out of the game, you're going to see a lot of Luston and, of course, Josh Evans. About that call there, Sam. That was pretty interesting right there.
I know. I'm not sure. Maybe they
We'll take
say
it.
that he didn't take it to the ground. We'll see if Tom Coughlin decides to challenge that.
Here it comes.
And Tom's got it in his right hand and throws it on the field finally. Tom's not one of those guys that keeps it in his sock, does he?
No.
That wouldn't be his personality.
He's only going to bring that out if he feels he has a very good case, and I believe he did there. You know, you mentioned about what he had done for Jacksonville, potential Hall of Famer, Sam. I don't think there's any doubt about that guy right there. Very good football coach and a very good man.
Absolutely, still very, very well liked. He takes the ball to the ground, but then loses possession. Whether the ground caused the fumble or not, I guess, will be the question.
Yeah, Sam,
Did he make a football move, right?
Well, the ground caused this fumble, but no question that this is going to be a reception.
We'll see what the challenge presents right after this. This is Jaguars football. Back in New Jersey, as the Jaguars have a 3-0 lead on the Giants, 10:16 to play in the first quarter. Our referee tonight is Fred Bryant, who is normally an umpire. And what was interesting, Mark, you see the guy on the left there just stepped out of the screen
with the tablet.
Had a tablet in his hand. Instead of going under the hood, he was using a tablet to watch the different replays and now trying to decide perhaps if it is a catch, it is enough for a first down, and the ball would be on the 33 or 34 yard line. And you can see Fred Bryant looking there as well. And here's Fred Bryant.
Has been changed. Runner down by contact. It'll be first down for the Giants at the 35-yard line. The Giants are not charged a team timeout.
The challenge stands. It's a gain of 13. And Mark, it was pretty clear once you saw the replay. He had the ball, possession, made a football move, as they say, and fumbled the ball when it hit the ground.
Yeah, you're right, Sam. It was good use of the challenge flag by Tom Coughlin.
Larry Donnell on the right side. Rashad Jennings is back as the lone setback for Eli Manning.
They're throwing it, aren't they, Sam?
They are. Donnell has stayed in the game, and they have 3 wide receivers, 1 in the slot left. Now 4, and Donnell steps into the backfield. 1st and 10 Giants, officially from the 35-yard line. Manning steps back into the shotgun. Looks, ball is tapped at the line of scrimmage and nearly grabbed by Tyson Alualu. But Jared Odrick, seeing his first action for the Jaguars in this preseason, gets his hand up and knocks it down.
Well, certainly a welcome addition to the Jaguar defensive front. Jared Odrick, you know, they say if you can't rush the passer, if you can't get in there, get your hands up, and that's what Jared does right there. That was a pretty low ball.
We're seeing both Odrick and Roy Miller for the first time this year. That's half of the defensive line the Jaguars would like to have up front when the season starts if Senderick Marks is available. 2nd and 10 for the Giants. Manning still no huddle, calling the play at the line of scrimmage. Looking again. And a little bit high. Donnell, the intended receiver, and that'll bring up 3rd down. They haven't run the ball once yet, have they?
No, and it's interesting, you know, especially from a Tom Coughlin offense, you know, you want to establish a run game just like the Jaguars want to do, but they're throwing it. That ball's a little high.
5 offensive plays for the Giants. All passes so far. 3rd and 10, still from the 35. Vereen steps into the slot right. 4 receivers and a tight end. 5 receivers in the pack. Manning looking. Ball is tipped once again. Nice solid play up front for the Jaguars as they continue, as Ryan Davis got his hands up, number 59, and that'll bring up a punt. They'll actually punt it this time.
Well, Eli steps up in the pocket, has very good protection. Again, he gets that ball a little low. Could have been a completion. I don't think he was very accurate on that. Again, another batted ball. Good job by the Jaguar defense.
Steve Weatherford to punt. Rashad Green stands with his heels on the 15. Green steps under it, and it looks like he'll try to bring it back, and does. Makes one move and gets up just past the 30-yard line. I think a lot of coaches are looking to find out whether or not the guy is going to fair catch in that situation.
Sam, it takes a lot of courage back there, especially when you were in the college last year. You're playing with the big boys now.
Back after this. This is Jaguars football. It's hurricane season, and the Weather Authority is tracking Danny. Keep your family safe with the Weather Authority on Channel 4. Always watching, always tracking. After the 41-yard punt and the 6-yard return, the Jaguars will take over on the 30-yard line. They do have two tight ends in the game with a 3-0 lead, Clay Harbor and Mercedes Lewis. Alan Hearns and Allen Robinson. Blake Bortles is the quarterback, and Denard Robinson is still at tailback. Wisniewski is the center. And the little stretch play to the left. Robinson with a gain of about 2, well, maybe 3 or 4. Absolutely. It's one of those plays, Mark, where they hand him back there, and it's some zone blocking up front, and he's just looking for the hole.
Sam, he's looking for a hole, and you just trust your linemen. You hope that they create a lane. Vision is so important there, and what I like about Denard, he's not afraid to run behind the tackles. He does have patience. He does have good vision. He'll go get you 3, 4, 5 tough yards.
Under center is Bortles, 2nd and 6. Again to Denard Robinson. Good, solid, strong running inside. That'll bring up 3rd and 2 after a 4-yard gain.
Well, Sam, they said they wanted to establish the line of scrimmage, and they're doing just that. There's a lot of push by that front 5 offensive linemen. That's exactly what they want to do.
Watch the line of scrimmage here as it goes backwards.
That is your classic zone blocking scheme. You see Denard, he makes one cut, knows he's not going to get 20 yards, but he gets what he can. Very good physical run.
On 3rd and 2, Toby Gerhart now in the backfield. Jaguars with 3 wide receivers, and Mercedes Lewis is to the right of the formation. In the shotgun is Bortles. Back to pass and looks. A little dump off over, and Allen Robinson has it and room to run and takes advantage of it. Down inside the 30, nearly to the 25. They'll mark it at the 26-yard line as the Jaguars are deep in Giants territory. A 36-yard gain. A little crossing pounder, easy to Allen Robinson.
Well, look at this guy, Luke Jokel. This is a young man that's getting better. He's good pass protection here. He allows Blake to have some time, located the crossing route. Good, accurate throw. That's what you like. Quarterbacks love short passes, Sam, and long runs.
And caught him right in stride. so key. Bortles so far 4 of 6 for 73 yards. And hand signals to the receivers. That's Clay Harbor in front. That's Gerhart underneath, and that's the intended receiver, and he makes the catch, takes it down near to the 20. Toby Gerhart, who made 2 catches last week, really, as you mentioned, is a big part after a gain of 5, a big part of what the Jaguars are trying to do offensively, not just running the football.
Very versatile. He can catch the ball. He's not, especially in 3rd down. You can expect this season to see him get out of the backfield. Blake Bortles has trust that he's going to do the right thing, and once you get it in his hands, he's going to make something happen.
Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator, on the sidelines again this week. Jaguars 2nd down. A little dump off to Rashad Green, and it looks like he may have the 1st down. We'll see where he marks it. It's one of those left foot, right foot marks,
right.
And he marked it with his left foot, so it could be a 1st down, and perhaps they will measure it.
Yeah, this one's going to be close, and Blake is kicking himself right here because just a little bit of a better throw. Get that out in front of him. And you'll see it right here. He throws it behind him. That just causes him to lose his momentum. He's fortunate to get up close to the 1st down, but that needs to be a better thrown ball.
That ball's supposed to be thrown upfield.
Upfield, right at his front shoulder. Allow him to run into that catch. Get a little momentum as he's attacking the line of scrimmage.
And there is a timeout on the field as Blake walks his way over to talk to Greg Olson and the offensive staff. You see Jeff Toole standing there, number 9. We'll see him in the 4th quarter tonight. Timeout. Jaguars called a timeout as it has been ruled 3rd and inches. Right back. This is Jaguars football. We're going to look for our Bud Light play of the game. Later in tonight's game, we'll bring you the Bud Light play of the game. See if you agree. As the nose of the football is just short of the 16-yard line. 6 of 8 for 82 yards. A fast start for Bortles. I formation. That's Tyson Alualu at fullback. Off the right side, Gerhardt has the first down and more. Tries to step through and gets down to the 10, maybe inside the 10 for a first down, Jacksonville.
Well, Tyson Aluulu, how about that? Bring your defensive tackle in, play the fullback position. He can move, he's athletic, and he's not afraid to hit, of course. Watch him lead up in front here on the right side on that backer. Boom. Toby Gerhardt again, downhill, physical.
You could tell that Alualu was looking for a blue shirt to hit.
He
right?
couldn't wait. He just lives for that moment. Next, he'll be asking to carry the ball.
They rule it at the 10, so that'll be a long 10 as it's first and goal for the Jaguars. Bortles to throw. He's got a man open. That's Robinson. Can he hold on to it? No. Last second defensive play for the Giants as Beeson, John Beeson, number 52, recovers and makes the play.
Yes, well-designed play. Denard Robinson out of the backfield. Blake just leaves just a little bit short. If you just throw that a little higher, a little longer, that's a touchdown. Not a poorly thrown ball, but if that ball could be a little higher, Sam, that's a touchdown catch.
3 yards into the end zone instead of at the goal
just
line.
Get it out there a little bit. Let him go make a play, but it was well defended by Beeson as well.
Clay Harbor sets up in the backfield. The give is to Robinson. He's got a little room to run. Steps inside and gets down. There's a flag on the play. And it'll bring up third down for the Jaguars after a gain of 5. Out there on the corner, generally it's an offensive penalty, holding, hooking, something like that.
Good chance of that.
Holding. Offense. Number 76. 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
Calls on Luke Jokel in his third year with the Jaguars, really his second full year of playing. You see Jokel right there, maybe, Mark.
Yeah, it gets his hands. His hands look pretty good so far. It must have been at the end of the run. I don't know, Sam. It's tough to see from this angle, of course. Of course, the official has a much better view of it.
Second and goal now from the 20. Bortles with 4 wide receivers and Mercedes Lewis on the right side of the formation. He looks left and tries to go deep, but Robinson was held up there at around the 8 and never could get into the end zone. Once again, Rogers Cromartie, number 41, with the coverage.
Yeah, I think Blake had an open receiver in on this out route underneath there and tried to go for the home run. And sometimes, Sam, especially in second and long situations, you just want to get some back. You don't have to go for the touchdown. Get a completion, make that third down manageable. Now you're in a situation where it's going to be very tough to convert on 3rd and 20. And you want to be real smart here as a quarterback.
Jaguars sent Robinson wide left, so they have 5 receivers out, including Rashad Green, Alan Hearns, and Mercedes Lewis. Bortles escapes, rolls right, tries to throw it out there, but ruled incomplete. Alan Hearns, the intended receiver. And that'll bring up a field goal attempt by the Jaguars again.
Yeah, you see Blake, he gets some pressure, gets forced outside the pocket. You see that running ability and wisely throws it out of bounds.
Opportunity for Jason Myers, as we mentioned. Josh Scobie's night is done. This will be a 38-yard attempt. Myers from Marist, listed as a first-year player. Big leg, plenty of distance for last week's 58-yard attempt. This one is up and good once again.
Got points.
More points. 6-0 Jaguars. 5:09 remaining in the first. This is Jaguars football. Don't miss the Back to Football Bash and the Roar calendar launch. That's Thursday, September 10th at 6:30 at the new FanDuelville at Everbank Field in the north end zone. Special appearances include head coach Gus Bradley, general manager Dave Caldwell, Jaguars players Jackson DeVille, and the beautiful Roar cheerleaders. That's the Back to Football Bash and Roar calendar lunch, September 10th at 6:30. Jason Myers will kick off here. Myers with a lot of friends and family at the stadium tonight here at MetLife.
There's that short kick.
That's what Gus Bradley told us, that they do want to work on coverage, and that is brought out at the 5 and nearly to the 30-yard line as once again Akeem Hunt, number 39, brings it out. Let's join Nikki on the sidelines. Nikki?
Well, guys, I was just talking to Jason Myers. Obviously, he is very excited to get some points on the board. Marist just really right around the corner from where we are tonight. So he said he does have a lot of friends and family in the stands, and they are watching him, and we're super excited to see him make that kick.
First points of the season for Myers. Second field goal attempt. Manning now under center. They've thrown the ball every play so far, Mark.
You know, it might just be something they're working on this game, not necessarily trying to attack the pass defense.
And there's the first run of the night, and that is a solid gain, as the Jaguars don't want to give those kinds up, that's for sure. A gain of 11, and that'll be a first down for the Giants.
Well, that's exactly what the Jaguars do not want to do, is give up this edge and get this run by Andre Williams. They talk about shutting down the run. That wasn't what they're looking for.
First and 10 from the 40. Manning with the tight end in the backfield. And still Williams as the deep back. Play action open over the middle, and everybody was looking at everybody else but the football there. Craig Lawston once again with the coverage, and you can tell that Beckham saw him coming, and that's one of the tools that safeties have to use.
Yeah, it really is. And listen, this is a timing route. Just a poorly thrown ball by Eli. Odell just a little bit out in front, but you saw him turn his head. He was looking for that safety help. It was coming.
Devon House has him generally, and that's second down from the 40. Manning to throw. Some pressure, steps up. And again, that ball looked like it stuck in his hand a little bit.
Yeah, Eli had to step up in the pocket there. Just got a little off balance. Couldn't get his feet underneath him on that pass, and it came out pretty low.
Manning so far 1 of 8 in passing.
Got a little pressure on that play and had to step up. Just was a little off with that throw.
Third and 10. Vereen is the setback. 3 wide receivers right for Eli Manning. Looks, steps, takes the underneath man, and that'll be a first down once again, as the Jaguars have everybody deep covered, but the underneath guy, Vereen, found a soft spot. Manning found him for a first down, gain of 13.
And they're going to their hurry up.
Once again at the line of scrimmage, and they'll give it to Vereen here, and he is stopped after about a gain of 2. Second and 8 at the Jaguar 44. 3:40 remaining in the first. Jaguars have scored on both of their drives, field goals on both of their drives. 6-0 Jacksonville. Manning on second down. And to give to Vereen. Finds a big hole, cuts it back. Finally taken down in the backfield. Sergio Brown after a gain of 20. A gain of 10. A gain of 10, and they'll once again go to the no huddle.
Yeah, that's too many, and you see Puz gets pushed out here by the tight end. That's just too much there.
Vereen with the handoff inside, can't find anything. Lawston with the tackle. We're going to see Lawston. We're going to see Josh Evans at that spot tonight because Jonathan Cyprien is not available for the remainder of the preseason, and Gus has told us that the Jaguar coaches, including Todd Walsh, the defensive line coach, are going to try to take advantage of that and get a good look at both of those guys. They want Evans to be able to play both the strong and the weak safety position.
And they like both of them, Sam. They're having very good camp, so it's a good opportunity for them to step up and show what they can do.
Manning in the shotgun. Steps up, goes deep, and that's open and caught. Beckham Jr. at the 5. Maybe Sergio Brown is saying that he thinks it's incomplete, and Devon House is also having a discussion after the gain of 29. The Giants run to the line of scrimmage and are trying to get a playoff before there's a look. The official do call the timeout because the Jaguars challenged that immediately. You can see Gus Bradley. You can't quite see him, but he stepped out onto the field at the 20-yard line and threw the challenge flag quickly.
Yeah, now this is not a poorly thrown ball, but That is a drop, Sam.
That's
That
a
looked like
drop.
He did
That's
not hold on
exactly
to that
right.
one. Low pass, tries to get underneath it. I believe that touched the ground.
I think you're right, and part of that had to do with House's recovery and the contact that he made right here.
Bring it back.
And now they've ruled that incomplete, and they'll bring it back. The gain of 29 is negated. And they'll replace the ball back at the 34-yard line, and it'll be third down.
There's the coach.
Tom Coughlin took the Jaguars to 2 AFC Championship games, 1 at home, 1 on the road in New England. Vereen once again is the setback. Beckham Jr. is wide left. 3rd and 9 for the Giants. Play clock at 10, so plenty of time. Manning to throw. Looking deep. Back shoulder is incomplete. Once again, Preston Parker can't bring it in. Aaron Colvin is the defender. That ball was thrown purposefully away from the defender there, Mark, and just couldn't bring it in.
Yeah, it was a good decision. It was man coverage straight across the board, and Eli just wants to throw that back shoulder, and I think it just took Preston Parker by surprise. Well thrown ball.
Giants will attempt a 51-yard field goal. Josh Brown. It's on its way and is good. The Giants get on the board with 1:51 remaining in the first quarter. 6-3 Jacksonville leads here at the Meadowlands. Our Gatorade knows it all begins from within. Win from within. Tonight's primed to perform is the return team. With 132 total yards last week versus Pittsburgh, Mark, they really showed a lot of versatility with a lot of different guys.
The return game was impressive. I mean, it started with Rashad Green, then it went to Denard Robinson at a 34-yard return here. Nick Marshall, the ex-quarterback, got a hand in it. Here you see Corey Grant at 2 returns for 42 yards, 21-yard kickoff return average. They were impressive. You talk about special teams. If you can bring value to special teams and show that you deserve to be on this roster, that's how you do it. Those returns were big.
That's something that every quarterback steps on the field loving the guy who just brought it out, just bring it outside past the 20.
Sam, it's all about field position,
right?
If you can get that ball at 35, 40-yard line, that changes everything. Your percentages of scoring skyrocket when you get better field position, and that's what a solid kickoff return game will do for you.
You mentioned Corey Grant. He's the deep guy, and the Giants also kicked this short. Should be returned 2 yards deep in the end zone. Grant to the 10. Brings it out to the 20, finds a seam at the 30, and is finally taken down at the 33-yard line. A 35-yard return with 1:44 remaining in the first quarter. There is a player down on the field. Grant is a fast guy, and he's a load to bring down because he's not very tall.
This is, again, another solid return. You can see he has very good vision, very shifty. He'll find an opening and burst through that. He's making a strong case of why he should be a Jacksonville Jaguar this year. Very fast, very good return ability.
Giants rookie free agent Justin Curry, number 36, is down out of Western Michigan. Trainers are out to take a look at his right ankle, lower right leg there. They're already looking at the sidelines. And
yeah, this isn't good.
This isn't good. If they've already brought the card out, and looks like they're going to grab that inflatable cast and try to put that on there very quickly. It's what you don't like to see at all, certainly in the preseason. The NFL has many different times gone through many machinations as to what to do on kickoffs. You had some players, some teammates, seriously hurt on kickoffs at times, and some of them were on onside kicks because of the velocity of the players and the ferocity of the hitting.
It's the nature of special teams. Those guys are flying. They're typically your fastest, strongest, most physical players are on special teams. The guys that can make a tackle, the guys that can run. And when there are collisions, with these guys going 100 100%. Injuries happen. This is the worst part about this game, especially for a young kid, free agent out of Western Michigan. This is his dream come true. An opportunity to be, playing in the Meadowlands here, and for him to have this injury, it's unfortunate.
Western Michigan, the Broncos, also the alma mater of your former teammate Joel Schmengi, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, Jaguar great defensive end.
There's a good look at the all 22 from overhead, and over there on the right side of the screen, you see those guys are coming fast.
Yeah, they are running. Their job is to get downfield. You see, unfortunately, that
he's already down.
He's right here. Yeah. He's already down before this play ever ends. And he knows it. Boy, that's got to be tough.
He is hobbling over to the cart. And you can see they already have the temporary cast on his lower right leg.
Coach Coughlin up there to
Jaguars will take over. His head coaching career in Jacksonville went all the way through 2002, encompassed your entire career there.
Yes.
68-60 overall, 2 appearances, as I mentioned, in the AFC Championship game, 1 at home and one on the road.
Sam, it was a privilege to play for him. What the best thing was that he believed in me, a young quarterback that hadn't had much experience, and he allowed me to be his quarterback. It really was a privilege.
Jaguars offensively, once again, with this first team offense out there. Wisniewski still at center. Bortles, the end around, and the Jaguars are going to get positive yardage out of this without any difficulty. Aurelius Ben once again showing in the preseason, a gain of 5. Ben still a big guy, 6'2", over 220 pounds right there.
Yeah, you see Aurelius Ben, and he has been impressive all camp, so why not give him the ball? He has a big frame. Listen, like you said, 6'2", 220. You don't want to tackle this guy when he has the ball in his hands. So, big physical runner, much like the size of a running back. Give it to him on the reverse, see what he can do. Good play.
Clay Harbor has stepped into the backfield. Denard Robinson is the lone setback, and he gets the handoff and gets the first down. Nice delayed handoff there. A gain of 7 and a first down for the Jaguars.
Well, let's watch Luke Jokel here. Again, this is why this play happens. Really good play by him. He sets back, slaps the defender out of the way. He just did his job. Doesn't take much. Just occupy that defensive end just for a moment.
They feel like Jokel really has made great strides as a run blocker and continues to be working on the techniques of pass blocking. Play action for Bortles. Looking deep. Airs it out. He's got a man deep, and that ball is caught and then dropped. Incomplete to Allen Hurns. Double coverage by the Giants. Looked like he had it. Trevin Wade was the guy trailing, and they finally knocked the ball clear of Hurns, who has made that catch before.
Well, let's look at this play. We got a post here on the outside, but watch Clay Harbor on the tight end. They leave him alone. This field is wide open in this area. Blake Bortles wants a touchdown here, but he's got a wide open Clay Harbor on a corner route. That's where he should have gone with the ball. Got a little too greedy on that one. Take what they give you.
Second down, the little slant to Allen Robinson will gain 8. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 2. When you see that play, Mark, you wonder whether that was a recognition at the line of scrimmage by both the quarterback and the wide receiver.
Yeah, I think it was. And what's smart about it, he knows he's got a slant route for completion. He puts this into a 3rd and manageable. It looks to be about third and two. These are easier to convert.
That's the end of the first quarter, as the Jaguars will have a 3rd down and 2, and they'll switch sides here. Jaguars lead 6-3, beginning of the second quarter, right here on the Jaguars Television Network.
Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast, Jaguar Jacksonville. JaguarJacksonville.com. Zaxby's, indescribably good. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
3rd and 2 for the Jaguars to begin the second quarter. 3 of 5 on 3rd down, a team that was 32% on 3rd down last year. Gerhardt with a second effort gets past the 45 and for a first down. Once again, north-south running by Toby Gerhardt makes the difference. Time now for our Zaxby Stacks. The Jaguars with a 6-3 lead. They lead with first downs, rushing yards, 90 passing yards. As we mentioned, now 4 of 6 in converting third downs, and held the ball for 10:39 in that first quarter, still only with a 6-3 lead. Second quarter just underway here at MetLife Stadium. Clay Harbor in motion. The give is to Gerhardt. Looks inside and gains 1. That'll be a 2nd and 9 situation.
Yeah, Toby was hoping for a little bit more there.
It is interesting when you talk to a guy like Gerhardt, as we have in the last couple of weeks. His love of the game is apparent every time he opens his mouth.
He loves the game, Sam. He loves being out there. He's not counting reps or wondering how many plays he's going to get. He wants to play 4 quarters.
Bortles looks left, hits Alan Hearns, tries to elude that first tackler and can't, but gets very close to a first down, be about a half a yard short, a gain of 8, and that'll bring up 3rd and 1. Hearns isolates and Bortles finds him.
Well, it's just a simple hitch route, and the timing is there. The ball's very accurate. You see the defender try to bite down on that and get an interception, but very simple. Good timing route, good accuracy. Again, here we are. We're in 3rd and 2, a very manageable third down situation.
Trevin Wade was the defender that held on. 3rd down to give to Gerhardt. Finds first down yardage and more down to the 31. Gain of 4, and that'll bring up a first down as the Jaguars continue to march forward. The Giants are playing without 6 different defensive backs that have been injured in their training camp, including their 2 starters at the cornerback position. So they're looking at a lot of different players on that side of the ball. While the Jaguars remain with that first team offense, Jokel, Beatles, Wisniewski, Lindner, and Parnell up front. That's Harbor in motion. Give once again to Denard Robinson, who stopped behind the line of scrimmage, and there'll be no gain there. 2nd and 10.
Just a little pressure over the middle there, and I believe an interior lineman on that left side got beat. Nowhere to run on that play.
Devon Kennard giving credit for the tackle, number 59, coming from that linebacker position. 2nd and 10, 12 minutes to play in the first half. Bortles to throw. Deep over the middle, and that's a catchable ball again. That was a timing route that was there for Allen Robinson, but could not gather it in.
Yeah, Sam, that was unfortunate. Again, another timing route. It's a simple post route. Blake sits his foot in the ground, and it's a little low, but listen, Allen Robinson should make that catch, and he knows it.
3rd down from the 31. Robinson and Rashad Green come left. Alan Hearns goes right. That's Clay Harbor also on the right side of the formation. Denard Robinson in the backfield. Thrown over and 2, and now called incomplete to Allen Robinson, and that'll bring up 4th down for the Jaguars. And we'll have another opportunity to see Jason Myers.
Yeah, here Blake, he just leaves this a little outside. I think he was concerned about the inside defender right here.
Another catchable ball.
Another catchable ball, but Blake's not thrilled about that one. That needs to be on right on his number. There was room for it, I believe. It would have converted that 3rd down.
49-yard attempt. Anger to hold. Carson Tinker to snap. Up and away. And good once again. So in front of an awful lot of his friends and family, Jason Myers having a nice night. 2 for 2 in the field goal department as the Jaguars take a 6-point lead. 9-3 with 11:37 to play on the Jaguars Television Network. Jags fans, make sure you stop by any one of the area Dick's Wings and Grill before or after any Jaguar game that Dick's Wings and Grill in the area. Nikki Kimbleton has an injury update for us. Nikki?
Number 72 offensive tackle Josh Wells, he's being evaluated on the sidelines right now. His hand is injured. In addition, we just found out that number 12 wide receiver Aurelius Ben also has a shoulder injury. Both are questionable to return in this game. Sam and Mark.
Opportunity for both of those players. There was a flag on the kickoff. We'll see what the call is. It usually is in the spot of offsides.
That's unfortunate about Aurelius.
It must have obviously on that one play.
Reverse.
Offsides, kicking team, number 83. That 5-yard penalty will be added on to the 20-yard line. First down.
Fred Bryant, our referee tonight, I may have mentioned earlier, he's part of the NFL's program where they're giving officials another opportunity. He's normally an umpire.
Right.
And now is on the other side of the quarterback, on the throwing hand of the quarterback, and in the backfield, and wearing the white hat and making the calls. Giants 1st and 10 from the 25. Manning with the give. And some good solid inside running. A gain of 4 by Andre Williams. 2nd and 6 for the Giants.
Well, Andre Williams, a good physical run here. You see the counter run play, little cutback. Offensive lineman still fighting.
Newhouse had Odrick by the neck. I'm sorry.
They might have missed that one. The new referee's not doing a great job.
That's the umpire's job, right? Don't ask me to make that call. That's the umpire's job. Manning 2nd and 6, I formation. Given to the backfield. Boy, what a nice play in the backfield. Tyson Alualu is there. Alualu, 1st-round draft pick, continually just kind of, everybody says, oh, this is his last year, and he keeps grinding away, making plays.
He is steady. He's reliable. He's a hard worker. He's a grinder. Beats his man in there, gets in the backfield, makes a good tackle. That's what he gets paid to do, and he does it well.
Originally drafted to put pressure on Peyton Manning in the middle of the pocket. And then all of a sudden Manning was out of the division, out of football, and then out of the division. Eli Manning to throw, finds an open receiver. That'll be enough for a 1st down and more. Up to the 42-yard line. Preston Parker with the catch, a gain of 14.
Yeah, this is just a stick route, what it's called. Preston Parker looking for the weakness in that defense, which is just in that flat area. Ball comes out on time, very accurate. Turns Preston inside, allows him to get upfield. Does a good job holding on to that ball. Just trying to get some completions.
I formation once again. 1st down from the 41. Manning to throw. Has time, dumps it off. Nice tackle by Sergio Brown. Open field tackling is something that Brown and Jonathan Cyprian and several other safeties have worked on after practice, Mark, and this is a good example of it.
Well, what Eli wanted was this stick and go route up top. He wanted to beat the top defender. Came down to his check down instead, but they were actually going for a home run right there, and smart coverage by the defenders for Jacksonville did not allow the home run.
3 guys in the backfield for the Giants. Rashad Jennings is the deep back. And it's the give to Jennings. Straight up the middle. Just short of the 1st down. That'll bring up 3rd and about 2 for the Giants from the 49. They need to get to the Jaguars 49 for a 1st down. 8:40 remaining in the half. 9-3. The Jaguars lead here at MetLife Stadium. Third and short for Eli Manning. 4 receivers in the game, including Larry Donnell, the tight end, who's in the backfield. Manning to throw. Looking right, as you mentioned, a little stop and go route. A little after play shove there by Beckham Jr. But I believe it was the side judge was standing right there. Devon House, number 31. And then look at the shove here. Because he saw Sergio coming, and he didn't want to see that anymore.
No, he didn't. I think Odell's just frustrated in his play tonight. He doesn't think he's caught a ball. He's had some opportunities, a couple drops here, and just not having the night that he was hoping to have.
Jaguars will get the ball back here. And they send Rashad Green back. He stands at the 10. Weatherford with the punt. Over Green's head, he'll let it go, see if it goes in the end zone, and it does. And the Jaguars will get the ball on the 20. It's generally a rule, right, Mark? Put your heels on the 10.
Put your heels on the 10. Goes over your head, let it go.
Jaguars will get the ball back, leading 9-3 with 8:01 to play in the first. This is Jaguars football. Drive to score with Nimnick. Nimnick Buick is giving away a 2-year lease on a 2015 Buick Encore at halftime of the Jags-Lions preseason game. That's next Friday night, August 28th. Head to jaguars.com/encore to enter. The Nimnick family of dealerships, an institution in Jacksonville. Look at the first 3 possessions under Greg Olson here as Chad Henne takes over at quarterback, and the Jaguars with 3 consecutive sustained drives. Henne rolls right, throws the ball to Waters, and the ball is caught as Brian Walters with a gain of about 8 or not 9. Yeah, it'll be almost a first down. Good look at Chad Henne's numbers. Henne last year, 42 of 78, 3 touchdowns. Had an 80.7 quarterback rating, but in the short time he played, he was sacked 16 times.
Too many sacks, not a great supporting cast. I like Chad Henne. He's smart quarterbacks, make good decisions. There's one right there for some positive yards.
Bernard Pierce is in the game, number 30. Pierce, the free agent pickup from the Ravens this year. That'll be a first down, Jaguars.
Yeah, you see Chad Henne. He's got verticals on the outside, trying to attack the defense. Nothing's there. He just comes underneath to Bernard Pierce. Sometimes it's not open. Sometimes you just check it down and get to the next play.
Jaguars have changing personnel up front. That's Pierce with the football. Taken down after a gain of 1, 2nd and 9 for the Jaguars. Clay Harbor is in the game. Sam Young is in the game, number 74. At the same time, you see Pierce there, number 30. They put A.J. Cann in, number 60. Cann, 51 starts at South Carolina in 4 years.
You know, he's a 3rd-round draft pick for the Jaguars. Many have called him the steal of the draft. He's better than the 3rd-rounder. They were very fortunate to get him.
All-American last year for Steve Spurrier in Columbia. Henne with 4 receivers in the route. Ball's batted at the line of scrimmage, and that'll be incomplete.
Getting back to those drives, Sam, the first 3, they resulted in points. There were multiple plays, which is good. But as they watch the film tomorrow, they're going to be kicking themselves because field goals are good, but you really want touchdowns. You get touchdowns in those situations. When you get in the red zone, you're going to win football games this season.
Odigizua was the guy who knocked the ball down.
He did, okay.
Yeah, and Tony Washington was the intended receiver. 3 drives for Blake Bortles. He played 29 snaps tonight. Officially 8 of 16 for 98 yards. Henne to throw under pressure. That ball comes out. We'll see how it's ruled. It's ruled a fumble. Now it's ruled incomplete as the referee comes in and rules the ball incomplete. Former Jaguar J.T. Thomas with the pressure, number 55. Not picked up coming from that linebacker position. Henne without any time, and the ball comes out.
Well, watch, this is a full speed look at it. There's just not enough guys to block. That's a very dangerous situation for Chad to be in. He's trying to throw the ball. He gets exposed here. That's tough. Sam, I had a very similar situation like that. I tore my labrum on my throwing shoulder. Got hit just like that one time. And
with your arm up in the air and trying to get it forward?
With my arm up in the air, trying to throw the ball, getting hit at the precise moment. Chad's fortunate to get up from that one. Hopefully he's okay.
Brian Anger in the game. Coughlin has now thrown the challenge flag on the field as he sent Dwayne Harris back to receive the punt. Coughlin is challenging whether or not this was a fumble or an incomplete pass. It was interesting because the umpire, who is on the offside of the right-handed quarterback, just stood there and didn't throw the beanbag down while the referee stepped in and said incomplete. This is Jaguars football. 9-3 Jacksonville, 6:04 remaining in the first half. You can see our referee, Fred Bryant, looking at that tablet. Mark, here's a pretty good look at whether Chad Henne's arm was going forward or not.
Well, Sam, looking at it in the slow motion, of course, it's much easier. I think that's going to be a fumble. I don't think that ball was going forward. I think he fumbled it right there. I think the Giants are going to get this football.
There is that empty hand thing that you can't quite tell whether the ball was still there, but his arm was definitely going forward, but was the ball already out? And that's probably what Brian is determining. And this kind of discussion usually is trying to figure out where to place the ball. The ball was recovered by the Giants' Devon Kennard, number 59, and we'll get a call from Fred Bryant here. And it looks like the Giants are going to get the football.
After review, the ruling has been changed. It is a fumble. Clear recovery by the Giants on the 30-yard line. First down. The Giants are not charged a team timeout. This is their second successful challenge. They have one more challenge left.
Another solid challenge by Coughlin.
2 for 2.
Greg Olson looking at one of those surfaces that they have now on the sidelines. That's a little different than when you played, right?
we had paper.
Stick figures and paper. Although they used to fax formations down to you. I saw that on a regular basis.
New quarterback?
New quarterback for the Giants. Ryan Nassib is in the game. Nassib, a third-year player out of Syracuse. Nikita Whitlock with the carry. And that'll take it down 2nd and 5 from the 25.
They're entrusting the no huddle to Nassib also. 4th round pick.
Bigger guy than you would think, too.
Yeah.
When you see him on the field.
Yeah, he is.
Listed at 6'2", but seems like bigger than that. Once again, solid play by the Jaguars. Up front, Ziggy Hood gets his hand up, and that ball falls incomplete. Up front, you see Branch is in the game. Andre Branch, number 90. Obviously, Ziggy Hood in the game, number 92.
Well, Ryan is looking downfield, feels a little bit of pressure, tries to get to the wide route. Ziggy gets his hand up. We're batting the ball down a little bit, Sam, tonight. It's good.
Some veteran, wily moves up front there, Mark.
That's right.
3rd and 5 for the Giants from the 25. Nassib has got a man open deep. Can he get to him? No. And that ball falls incomplete. Preston Parker, the intended receiver. 4th down Giants from the 25. Aaron Colvin was there. It's great to see how Colvin has developed. They really felt like they got a steal in the draft last year because he had been injured at the Senior Bowl.
No
they
question.
Had coached there. They brought him back. They not only like his skill, but he's one of those good locker room guys.
He's a great guy. He's a hard worker. He's becoming a leader. Very young player. And listen, they picked the wrong guy to attack there. Aaron Colvin's a good defensive back.
43-yard attempt is good as the Giants pull within 3. Now 9-6. So the Jaguars still have a 3-point lead. Back after this. This is Jaguars football.
Welcome back, Jags fans. If you're coming out to Everbank Field at all this season, you need to know about the bag policy. Anything that you're bringing inside must fit inside of a clear plastic bag. It can be no larger than a gallon-sized bag. A perfect example right here in my hand. This one you can get from any Daily store. It's $5, but that $5 donation goes to the Tony Baselli Foundation. Now, if you don't want to bring in a plastic bag like this, well, then you have to bring in something this small. You can find these inside of the Jaguars merchandise store. Now, you cannot bring a fanny pack, you cannot bring a large bag, and you also cannot bring a diaper bag. It's got to be this small. So check out the size of this. And Sam, didn't you invent the fanny pack anyway?
No, but I do know who invented the fanny pack. I do, and by the way, I look very good in one of those.
You're wearing one right now. The viewers can't see it, but
usually here in the broadcast
really sharp.
booth, I keep one with me. Thank you. Nick Marshall with the return. Luke Bowanko is now in at center. Marshall lost his footing. It'll be 1st and 10 Jaguars at the 16-yard line. 9-6 with 5 minutes and 3 seconds to play in the first half. Chad Henne is at quarterback. Henne to throw. Timing route and is caught. Brian Walters with the catch. The thing that they say about Walters all the time, you can trust him. You know he's going to get 5 or 6 all the time. If the ball's in his area, he's going to catch it.
Yeah, that was very good concentration by Walters right there. The ball was left inside a little bit. Walters had to turn his body knowing that he was going to get hit, but he held on for completion.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Walters is split out left. Bernard Pierce is the lone setback. Pierce eludes a little pressure, but finally is forced out of bounds. Probably a loss of 2. As the Giants bring some pressure, Trumaine McBride pushes him out of bounds. Going to bring up 3rd down. And now 3rd and along 7. 2-yard loss for Pierce. Henne in the shotgun, Pierce next to him. Slot right for the Jaguars. Henne looks left, timing route. Ooh, that's a catch on the wall. And a 1st down, but not brought in by Tony Washington, the first-year player out of Appalachian State. And that'll bring up a 4th down punting situation for the Jaguars as Brian Anger takes the field.
Well, Chad Henne cannot throw a better ball here. Look at the accuracy. Right on the back shoulder. He just loses concentration. And Sam's right. That would have been for a 1st down. That's unfortunate for Tony. Young receiver trying to make this football team.
Lots of choices at wide receiver for the Jaguars, and we have not seen Marquise Lee, although he is ahead of schedule. They do hope that he will play some in the preseason. Anger to punt, and does. This ball will be fielded at the 36-yard line. Good coverage by the Jaguars. Out to the 41 as Dwayne Harris, number 17, for the Giants, fields it. Anger last year had an excellent year. 47.5 yard average punting, but net punting of 39.6. He also kicked 25 punts inside the 20, and that's certainly become an offensive tool that coaches are using. The Giants will set up shop 1st down with 3:56 in the first half at the 42-yard line. They'll keep it on the ground here. Offside tackle is made. Very solid play for the Jaguars up front. Orleans Darkwa, the ball carrier.
Orleans was not going anywhere on that play.
And that's one of the reasons that the Jaguars have so many guys who can run and hit. Ryan Davis coming from the backside to make the tackle. A loss of about 4. Officially 2nd and 13. Massive with a little dump off over the middle and plenty of room to run. Down to the 40-yard line. A designed play. A flag is thrown at about the 48 of the Giants, and we'll see what that's about. This is a nice. They knew the Jaguars were bringing pressure, and they took advantage of that.
Yeah, they were bringing pressure, and listen, when you're 2nd and 13.
Number 17 of the offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay, 2nd down.
I was saying, Sam, when you're 2nd and 13, 2nd and long, a screen is a go-to play that many times has a lot of success. Other than that, holding right there is well designed, well executed.
Demetrius McCray is down at the 40-yard line as Tom Coughlin is arguing the call. McCray, the starting cornerback for the Jaguars in his 3rd year out of Appalachian State. One of those big guys that has that look that you can tell that Gus Bradley likes, that big physical kind of guy that can play man coverage outside. It looks like they're looking at his right knee at this point. Dr. Kaplan is there. And I think that's also Dr. Eiselborn is working with him as well.
Well, there you see Demetrius on the right there. In for the tackle. Hard to tell what's going on, but
Looks like he banged his right knee pretty severely as he went in for the tackle. But they're checking for the...
he's moving it. That's a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign. You've got McCray, you've got Colvin, Devon House, obviously, Dwayne Gratz.
Some talented defensive backs. And when you mentioned about McCray, I mean, 6'2", 200. When I was playing, I saw a 6'2", 200 defensive back.
That guy.
No, I went away from him. I wanted no part of him.
You sent somebody else after that guy.
See, we'll throw to the other side. Look at that. He has so much range, so physical, so strong. It's tough to throw against guys like Demetrius McCray.
This would be really good if he is okay, and it does appear that he is. As you see Dr. Kevin Kaplan here in the low part of your screen as they're walking him off. And we'll see who steps in for him. Looks like Jeremy Harris will now be at that right cornerback position. And Dwayne Gratz will be on the left side.
There's Coach Babbage, defensive coordinator.
Giants with second down. Akeem Hunt is the setback. Ryan Nassi throws it over and nearly caught, but can't quite be brought in. Harris with good single coverage.
Pretty clear what their strategy was. Jeremy Harris steps on the field and they attack him immediately. They got another Jaguar down, unfortunately.
Intended receiver was James Jones. So Jaguar down at right there at the 45-yard line. Leroy Reynolds appears to be the player that's down. Reynolds, one of those guys that really showed last year with the Jaguars that he was not afraid of contact.
No, he is not. And listen, he's a hard-working young man. He's a young player that's only going to get better.
And they appear to be looking at his left knee here as well. 2:47 remaining. Jaguars lead 9-6.
You see him in the, I believe he's the inside backer right here, getting some depth. There's no one around him there. It's an unfortunate thing about this game. Sometimes injuries happen when there is no contact, and then Leroy drops down. That's not a good sign, Sam. Typically, that's a serious knee injury, but he is walking off the field.
Also walking off.
Our guys are tough.
Hey, if that's the kind of luck we're going to have this year, that'll make up for a lot of the bad luck we've had. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, here you see Leroy on the right. That might have had something to do with it there.
Well,
yeah, he's hurt. He's hurt.
You could see his left leg got caught underneath the blocker there. 3rd and 14 for the Giants. Nasib. Nice solid play once again. Defensively, the Jaguars have Matt Daniels come out of nowhere, stick his hand in. The intended receiver, Corey Washington, and that'll bring up 4th down. Rashad Green will go back once again to the 10-yard line to return. I want to take a good look at Green in the return game, Mark. He's shown some real potential there.
Yeah, it's clear that Mike Mallory, special teams coach, likes him. They're giving him every opportunity to return these punts. He does a good job. And the thing is, with this position, you've got to be able to trust your punt returner. It takes a lot of courage to stand back there and field these punts. Let's see what he does.
He'll get a chance here. Fumbles it, recovers his own fumble, and drops forward to the 22. Looked pretty anxious there to start running because he knew he was going to have a chance and couldn't quite bring it in.
Yeah, Sam, I believe he just took his eyes off it a little bit. He's looking at the guys running down the field trying to tackle him, but you can see his focus on the ball, and I think just at the last second he looks down a little bit, loses concentration, loses focus. Oh, that's tough.
44-yard punt, and officially none on the return. The Jaguars do take over offensively here. Chad Henne is still the quarterback. Pierce in the backfield, Washington, one of the receivers, Sam Young at left tackle, A.J. Cann at left guard, Luke Bowanko at center. That's Koyak in motion. Henny with play action, looking deep. Throws the ball deep, and that's interference. Easily.
Absolutely.
Easy call for just about everybody, and that'll be a first down for the Jaguars. McBride will be called for the interference, as the Chad Henne had the time, had those vertical routes going.
Defensive pass interference, number 38. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Sammy certainly had the time, but there's a few bodies in there. You can see that defensive back 25 right there. I'm not so sure he should have thrown that one. I know with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, you want to push the ball down the field, but you certainly don't want to force those balls in the middle.
He has a lot of confidence in Brian Walters. 29-yard penalty. Jaguars first down at the 49. Henne with time. Now runs out of it and runs right. Fires the ball incomplete. Gets rid of it in the area of Brian Walters, but that'll bring up second down.
Well, he gets a lot of pressure there, and one thing that perhaps it is not Chad's strength is his escapability. He's not going to go too hard, too fast outside that pocket, but he makes a wise choice and just gets rid of it.
Austin Pastors is in the game. He's number 67, playing up front. Henne on second and 10. They give him to Pierce. Finds a little room, breaks one tackle to the 45, the 40, knocked out of bounds after a first down run down to the 32-yard line. Bernard Pierce, the free agent pickup in the offseason from the Ravens, gives the Jaguars a first down after a 12-yard gain.
It didn't look like he was going to get much, but he just stayed with it, Sam. The line, they held their blocks. He breaks a tackle here, gets on the outside, and gets upfield as fast as he can. Positive play, good yards.
He was a guy who could get the job done last year for the Ravens, had some offseason problems and was released, and now he's a Jaguar. Right back on the Jaguars Television Network. Coming up at the half, we'll have highlights and stats, and Nikki caught up with Josh Scobie, who has a car that will be featured in the first ever Jags car show on August 28th. You'll see that on the Jaguars Network at halftime. Josh with the Aston Martin took Nikki for a ride. Jaguars first and 10 at the 2-minute warning here at the first half. Henne to look, pump fake, throws. Rashad Green had a chance for the back shoulder, but the ball was overthrown. Jackson can't make the interception, so the Jaguars will retain possession and have second down.
Yeah, Chad got a little pressure there also. One thing is for sure, Chad is not afraid to push that ball downfield. There's no question. Got a little hit at the end, got knocked down. That's okay in preseason. Get knocked around a little bit.
That's not. Sometimes if your name is Brady, they call a penalty on that.
If your last name's Henne, no flag.
No flag on a guy named Henne. Exactly.
Chad getting to some other play here. Oh, illegal formation.
False start, number 74, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
They tried to get in the right formation, and they were moving at the snap. Not good.
Sam Young, number 74, called for the penalty. Young, now a sixth-year player out of Notre Dame, and he is a big person, 6'8", 316 pounds.
Holds the distinction of being the tallest Jaguar this year. He's a mountain.
Second down for Henne. Tries to dump it off to Pierce. This is sniffed out right away. J.T. Thomas saw that coming from when the ball was snapped and makes the tackle. Former Jaguar. I think they should outlaw celebrations in the preseason.
Yeah, I think they should. I think you're exactly right. You look here at this replay here. It's a screen. Again, ideal for having to cover a lot of ground. Typically, Mr. Cann right there just missed his block. There's a lot of speed at that position. Just didn't seal that edge, allow Bernard to get downfield.
8-yard loss. The Giants call timeout, hoping to get the football back here. And you could see J.T. Thomas was spying on Pierce. That was his only person in coverage. And once he took a step backwards, Thomas exploded through the line of scrimmage and made the tackle. Brings up 3rd and 23 after a loss of 8. 1:48 to play in the first half.
3rd and 23, it's tough to get, Sam.
See what Henne comes with. Steps back, throws it over. The ball is caught. Nick Jacobs with the catch. And they'll keep the clock running. Coughlin calls another timeout. So Tom Coughlin stepped on the field. He wasn't sure whether Jacobs was forced out of bounds or not, and they call him in right there. A gain of 7. Bring up 4th down, but Tom Coughlin called timeout. I believe that's the second timeout of the half for the Giants. They have 1 remaining.
Yeah, they certainly would like to have the ball back with 1:36 left.
Brian Anger is in the game. No doubt in the second half we'll see Casey Redfern once again. And the Giants send Dwayne Harris back at the 10-yard line.
Plenty of time for the Giants to move this down the field.
25 punts last year for Anger inside. Drops the nose of the football straight down. And that ball is caught at the 10 and tackled at the 10. Good solid special teams play by Nick Jacobs, number 85. On a regular basis, you can turn in to the Channel 4 Morning Show. Jen, Bruce, and Richard get your day started right. The Morning Show on Channel 4 makes mornings happen. Giants football at the 12-yard line. 1:25 to play in the first half. Giants with 1 timeout. Jaguars with a lot of different defensive players in the game. Ambrister is in the game, number 57. A solid tackle once again by Craig Loston. Second-year player out of LSU who really has come on in camp. Coaches really like the progress that he has made here in the first three and 4 weeks of camp. Good look at Craig right there. Nasibo to the middle. A little high. Ambrister with the defensive play, and that'll be incomplete.
Yeah, Nassib had an open receiver there and just got the ball a little too high. What the defense does not want to do is give up chunks. Give up plays down the field that can allow them to advance and maybe get into field goal range. And, of course, keep them in bounds. Keep that clock moving.
Jaguars with 2 timeouts. Let's see what happens here. The throw over the middle. That'll be a first down as the Giants convert on 3rd and short. Little throw over the middle to Larry Donnell. And a timeout by the Giants. That's their final one of the half with just under a minute to play. You know, a lot of times you see things in the preseason, Mark, that are somewhat unconventional. I don't think that in the regular season they'd probably use a timeout there. Either they go no huddle or they spike it to stop the clock. They got the first down. They've got some downs to work with. But, again, coaches all admit, look, in the preseason we're looking at situational football a lot of times and what specific players are going to do in reaction to that.
No question. It's really good for this young defense out on the field right now to be in this situation, to be in a 2-minute hurry-up situation.
Rashad Reynolds is one of the defensive backs for the Jaguars, number 4. That ball's tipped at the line of scrimmage, and Ambrister can't quite bring it in. This is a guy, Mark, that got a lot of playing time last week, and the coaches, as soon as Puslesny came out of the game tonight, they put him in the game. They want to see more of him, see what he can possibly do as a free agent.
Yeah, this is a tip ball. What an opportunity for Armbrister to get his first NFL interception. Linebackers typically don't have the best hands, Sam.
Nice solid play inside. The Jaguars look like they're going to have a sack, and they do, as Chris Smith makes the move, number 98. Smith comes in, gets his hand on the ball and the quarterback, and the Jaguars now call timeout, hoping to get the football back. They'll have 1 remaining with 42 seconds to play in the half.
See that. Good job by Chris Smith, beating his man, like Sam said, getting his hand on the ball, trying to get that ball out, but gets the sack, and with a little dance there.
You've got to wonder what the Giants are thinking about up front, because they do have Chris Snee, who is Tom Coughlin's son-in-law, had a solid career up front, retired this year. They brought in Eric Flowers, their first-round pick, the 9th overall pick out of Miami, just a giant person that they've installed at that left tackle position. Here's a good solid throw over the middle by Nassim, and that'll be a first down, Giants at the 40. James Jones with the catch, and here's where they'll spike it.
Stop the clock and get to second down, 28 seconds. Let's see if they can push the ball down the field, at least get in field goal range. Not much time though, Sam.
28 seconds. Jaguars changing personnel. Cappy comes in the game.
2 sacks last week.
Very solid against the pass. The Jaguars are looking for his ability to set the edge and stop the run. That's him at the kind of the middle of your screen there with his right hand down. There he is. He's after it. Good solid throw by Nassim and catch. As James Jones makes the catch and steps out of bounds. Giants potentially in field goal territory already after a gain of 23.
Well, they're certainly in range to take a crack at it. They'd like to get to that 35-yard line. They just need a couple more yards to truly be in range, but you got to think Josh Brown can make this one.
Jeremy Harris is at the top of the screen, and that's Dwayne Grotz at the bottom of the screen in single coverage. Nassim to throw, under pressure, ball comes out, but he was hit as he released it. Looked like Dan Skuta got in there.
Dan Skuta's still in there applying the pressure. Pretty good pass rush there. Dan got in there quickly.
You might wonder, why is Dan Skuta in the game? Well, the Giants came out, and as you mentioned, in 11 and 12, what they call 11 and 12 personnel a lot. So Skuta, who plays in the base defense for the Jaguars, didn't get a lot of snaps there in the first quarter.
That's exactly right. Another guy that wants to be on the field as much as possible.
Jaguars bringing a lot of people. Nassim throws it up. Once again, Jeremy Harris covering James Jones, and that ball is incomplete. 13 seconds and 3rd and 10 for the Giants from the 37-yard line. Jaguars show blitz and bring it off the corner. Nassim saw him coming and had to get rid of it. Very solid play by Rashad Reynolds, who disguised it, and then almost a delay.
Yes, very smart. I mean, you could tell Nassim wasn't real clear whether he was coming or not. One thing is for sure, there was no one there to block him. Good call by Bob Babbage. Good design blitz to get after the quarterback here in this situation.
4th down, and they will eschew the field goal attempt.
Interesting.
Instead, and go for it on 4th down. Would have been a 55-yard attempt had they chose a field goal. Ryan looks over the middle, and another catchable ball that is dropped. James Jones can't quite bring it in. 8th-year player out of San Jose State. Would not have been a first down. The ball will go over on downs, and no doubt the Jaguars would kneel on it here and go to the locker room with a 9-6 lead, a fairly productive first half. Some things, as the coaches like to say in these situations, Mark, a lot of teachable moments there in the first half.
You know, I would say offensively, perhaps not as sharp as last week, but that's okay. There's a lot to learn from. Some things they did well, some things they did poorly. I thought the defense was excellent too.
Jaguars do kneel on it, and will go to halftime leading 9-6 here at MetLife Stadium. Productive first half, certainly for the first team. Chad Henne has been very accurate, although has not gotten a lot of support from some of the guys around him at this point. nonetheless, it's a first half of scoring opportunities, 3 extended drives, 10 plays, 12 plays, and 3 field goals. Nikki Kimbleton has head coach Gus Bradley. Nikki.
Coach, I know you were very focused on your defense, stopping these explosive plays. They held Manning to 2-11 from the start tonight. You got to be happy with that.
Well, we played a little bit tighter coverage. I think there's some things we can even get better at. But very pleased with how we came out compared to last week.
All right, let's talk about your offense. I know you said that you felt like you were going to get a better idea of who this team really was tonight on that field. Are you happy with that?
Well, I like that we started fast. We came down, got some points the first drive. We stuck to it. The offense moved the ball. Now we got to turn those 3 points into touchdowns.
And Rashad Green having a pretty good game, putting himself in the spotlight.
He is. We wanted to get him more reps with 3 wides out, especially with Julius out. Get a chance to look at him. So he's getting more reps, got some reps as a punt returner too. So try to look at so many guys in a short period of time.
All right, thank you, Coach, so much. Good luck in the second half. Back to you guys up in the booth.
Thank you, Nikki. Gus Bradley's comments at halftime as the Jaguars lead 9-6 here at MetLife Stadium. Back with the halftime right here on the Jaguars Television Network. About to start the second half here in East Rutherford with the Jaguars leading 9-6 over the New York Giants. Jaguars will let Jason Myers do the kicking for the rest of the evening as the Giants will get the ball here to start the second half. And once again, the Jaguars are trying to set up returns, and that's exactly what they get. And the ball is brought out to the 15-yard line.
Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast, Jaguar Jacksonville. JaguarJacksonville.com. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. And Bud Light, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the perfect beer for living life by your own playbook.
Giants on offense to open the second half, and they have a completion. First down throw to rookie Jeremy Davis. And there's a flag on the play, deep back thrown at the 7-yard line. Jaguars with a lot of different defensive players in the game.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense. 15-yard penalty on the end of the run. First down.
Did not say who the roughing was called against, but they'll add that, and the Giants will move it to the 44-yard line. Just underway in the second half. I formation for Ryan Nassib. Identifying the mic, and the Jaguars change. Lele is in the game. And Armbruster is forced to make the tackle. Once again, Orleans Darkwa, first-year player out of Tulane. Gain of 16, and another first down for the Giants.
Yeah, you see Orleans' speed here. Well-blocked play. Just finds a lane there, and that's not what the Jaguars were looking for. They don't want those explosive plays. They don't want those gaps where the running backs are getting 10, 15 yards down. They've got to find a way to stop that.
First and 10 from the 40 for New York. Offset eye, and the give is in the backfield. Jaguars snuff that out after a gain of about 3. Ike Igbinosun with the stop up front, number 79. A good look at Ike. There's a Armbruster right there. Tommy Campbell, number 29. John Lutalele wears 53. 42, Matt Daniels is playing the free safety position for the Jaguars. One wide out for Nassib. Offset eye, and they run the same play to the other side. Smelled out, but Armbruster can't make the tackle. And a gain of about 1.
You know, one thing about Armbruster, he is all over the field, Sam. Wherever that ball is, Armbrister is there, whether it's in pass coverage, in the backfield, making a tackle. He's all over the place.
Officially no gain on this play. Watch him come in, smells it out, can't quite square up and make the tackle.
Yeah, good cut by the running back there, but again, he's in the backfield trying to make a play.
Officially no gain. 3rd and 7. A little pressure. Nassib sees it, tries to run, and boy, once again, Armbrister makes the tackle.
Well, he wants to forget that play because, Sam, I don't know if he made the tackle. I think the quarterback broke that tackle and might have tripped afterwards. I think his teammates are going to give him a bad time. Watch him drop in coverage, come up, try to make the tackle, and I think quarterback just tried to get down. Nassib was just trying to get underneath another tackle, but Armbrister whiffed on that one.
Michael Bennett's in the game, has been in the game, as the Giants will attempt a field goal from 53 yards. Josh Brown has it up and on its way. And that one is good. And the game is tied. 11:41 to play in the 3rd quarter. And the Giants tie the game at 9. 9-9 in East Rutherford. Back on the Jaguars Television Network. Jags fans, make sure you stop by any one of the area Dick's Wings and Grill before or after any of the Jags games for a pre or a post celebration. Stop by Dick's Wings and Grill. All field goals so far tonight. 3 of the 6 have been over 50 yards. Scobie with a 52-yarder. Brown with both a 51 and a 53-yarder. Myers with 2 field goals, a 38 and a 49-yarder, and thus the 9-9 score of 11:41. But they did not go for the field goal, as you mentioned, during the break from 55 yards, and clearly Brown has enough leg for that. So Tom Coughlin looking to put his players in a 4th down situation there in the preseason.
Well, Tom isn't one to shy away from trying to score. I'm surprised they didn't go for the field goal, but he knows what he's doing.
Corey Grant is 8 yards deep, and he'll bring it out to the 10. Grant is fast. There's no question about that. Gets behind his pads and brings it all the way out to the 35-yard line. If Corey Grant is going to be a Jaguar this year, that's the kind of production they're going to need. A 43-yard return. And the Jaguars and Chad Henne will have the ball at the 35-yard line.
And Sam, there is no hesitation here. Again, good vision. He knows he's going to get tackled. He knows the guys are in pursuit, but yet he runs hard. He's getting as many yards as he can. He's been impressive.
Chad Henne at quarterback. Bernard Pierce next to him. It's the give to Pierce. And he'll have a gain of about 2. Brings up 2nd and 8. Damian Copeland wears number 83. He's one of the wide receivers in the game, as is Nick Jacobs at tight end, number 85. Luke Bowanko brings him to the line. Bowanko, the number 1 starter at center, getting plenty of action here into the 3rd quarter. Henne with a quick drop and fires. And that is sometimes that is or isn't face guarding, isn't or isn't.
Yeah, it's a judgment call, and you know, sometimes you see that called, sometimes you do not. I don't think Chad and Walters were on the same page there.
Defense, number 37, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Mike Harris was called for the hold. Brian Walters was in the pattern. And Henne, after you take that quick 3-step drop, Mark, and you're looking for that timing and it's not there.
Yeah. When you take a 3-step drop, coaches teach their quarterbacks, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Pressure's coming. 3-step drops, that ball has to be out. Uh-oh.
And there's trouble for the Jaguars in the backfield. Bernard Pierce, the loss of 7.
Yeah, look at the exchange here. You know, I think Chad does a good job. I don't think Bernard just didn't really tuck it away. You know,
lock down.
You would think that shouldn't happen in NFL football, and it shouldn't, but sometimes it does, surprisingly.
Ben Koyak is the guy in the slot right, one of the Jaguars' tight ends, draft pick 7th. round pick out of Notre Dame. Heading to throw over the middle, and Pierce makes the catch. And is taken down from behind at about the 44-yard line.
Well, Chad ran this play before. It's a 4 verticals. Chad's trying to take advantage of this coverage, but you see you have two safeties back here, and then he just finds his running back right there for the check down. Doesn't force it again. Another veteran move. Nothing open down the field. Get it to your running back.
Walters and Copeland are wide right. Penny looking left for Tandon Dawes. Tries the back shoulder throw, and that falls incomplete.
Yeah, 2 times on that play. One to Walters and then to Dawes, looking for that back shoulder throw. It just doesn't seem like Chad and the receivers are really hitting on all cylinders right here. Just seems to be a miscommunication. As Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator, is talking to Chad, just frustrated clearly.
As we mentioned, Casey Redfern will do the punting here in the second half for the Jaguars.
Can't be the quarterback's fault, Sam.
Preston Parker makes the catch at the 14-yard line. And the Giants will get the football after a 43-yard punt by Redfern. This is Jaguars football. Drive to score with Nimnick. Nimnick Buick is giving away a 2-year lease on the 2015 Buick Encore at halftime of the Jaguars-Lions preseason game on August 28th. That's next Friday at home. Head to jaguars.com/encore to enter. 2-year lease on a beautiful Encore. Jaguars defensive linebackers at this point: Jeremiah George, John Lutulele, and Thurston Armbrister are all the second line of defense, and all seem to be involved in that tackle.
It's about 9 Jaguar defenders in on that tackle.
Orleans Darkwa, again, the ball carrier for the Giants. In the defensive backfield, the Jaguars have 42. Matt Daniels is back there. You saw Avery Jones is one of the defensive linemen. He wears number 95, a third-year player out of Georgia. Tommy Campbell is at one cornerback. Nasi will throw to his tight end, and there's a flag on the play as Jerome Cunningham tried to get the ball over top of Armbrister. And
Interference, defense, number 57, ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, first down.
it's the kind of matchup you're looking for, Mark.
Yeah, it really is. You get a real tall tight end and Jerome Cunningham running down the field. Well thrown ball in a very good place. A little bit high. Armbrister flag on that play. Unfortunate, but again, he's all over the place.
23-yard penalty, 1st and 10 from the 39. Giants run the football, gain of 4, maybe 5. And that'll bring up 2nd and 5. 8:38 to play, tie game 9-9 between the Jaguars and the Giants here in the third quarter at MetLife Stadium.
Orleans with a solid run there again.
Guy you see on that defensive line playing that left defensive end position now, Ike Igbenosin. He wears number 79. You'll see him. He's very active inside. Thrown into traffic as Nasib was looking somewhere in there, but John Lutulele was able to make the play.
Well, if he was trying to hit the nameplate at Lotulele, he was pretty accurate. He hit the right between the 5 and the 3.
Pretty good.
I don't think that's what
job.
he was looking for, but not a good decision by the quarterback.
James Jones, the intended receiver, brings up 3rd down for the Giants. Shotgun to throw. Little pressure, escapes it. He's got a little room to run. Has some pressure, but Boyd delivers a nice ball to Jones for the 1st down. And he stopped right there inside the 40.
I mean, Armbrister was just about to bring it, and he was able to let it go.
Watch Ryan Nassib here trying to keep this play alive. Good feet, stepping up in the pocket. Doesn't want to run for it, gets rid of it, good completion. Armbrister makes a good hit. Well thrown ball for this first down.
That was a nice, solid, as
good
they
play.
say, the high harder. Threw that good fastball in there.
That was a good one.
Nassib with the handoff. Little room to run there for the rookie, Akeem Hunt. Hunt trying to make this team as a free agent from Purdue, listed at 5'10", 190. Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. 7 minutes to play in the third quarter in a tie game.
Going with this no huddle. Quarterback sees something that he likes.
Once again, that press coverage and that little hitch route is available. Jeremy Harris tries to come back for it, but can't quite do it. A gain of 13 as Jeremy Davis makes the catch, the rookie from UConn. Nassib Gibbs once again. That's snuffed out by the Jaguars.
I think Ike was in on that tackle.
Ike Igbinosun, Southern Connecticut State. Where's number 79? The 6'3", 286. That's pretty compact.
Why would you run at that?
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Out into the flat and caught. Hunt with the catch and a positive yardage, steps out of bounds. Gain of 4. This is the first time tonight, Mark, that the Giants have moved into the red zone of the Jaguars as they move just inside the 22, about the 19. 3rd and 9. Press coverage on the outside. They're going to go after it. The back shoulder throw is incomplete. That was a very nice job by Jeremy Harris. He stayed right on the receiver and didn't give up. Saw when he put his hand up in the air and reacted.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of back shoulder throws. They're tough to defend, but Harris does a very good job staying with the receiver. Just gets his left hand out. That's just enough. Not a bad thrown ball. Just well defended by Harris.
Jeremy Davis, again, the intended receiver, number 9. This will be a 37-yard attempt.
Another field goal?
Another field goal by Josh Brown. Up and good. And the Giants take their first lead of the game at 12-9 with 7 field goals kicked in the game. This is Jaguars football.
Welcome back, Jaguars fans. If you're looking to upgrade your season tickets or you just want to buy single tickets for the games, check out the brand new U.S. Shore Clubs in the west and east side of the stadium. They've really done some amazing upgrades. It's air conditioned. There's lots of local favorites, including Burrito Gallery, Uptown Market, Bono's Pit Barbecue, and more. They even have Dos Gatos on the 3rd level of the East Club with a DJ and dancing. It's a great space to enjoy with friends, family, clients. Pricing's available upon request. For more info, go to jaguars.com/tickets.
Thanks, Nikki. Giants will kick the ball off here. Josh Brown has Nick Marshall in the end zone. And this one is going to be pretty deep. We'll see if Nick brings it out, and he does. Decides to, brings it to the 10, to the 15, and all the way out to the 18-yard line. As the Jaguars get another look at the rookie from Auburn trying to make this football team. This is Jaguars football. Not all weather is severe or life-threatening. Sometimes it just gets in your way. The Weather Authority tracks inconvenient weather on WJXT Channel 4. Good look at our chief meteorologist, John Gaughan there. Always tracking, always watching.
You're welcome, John.
Chad Henne hands the ball off to Storm Johnson, who gets his first action of the night. No gain. Jaguars up front have some guys playing in some different positions. Sam Young is in the game. Austin Pastors has been in the game. A.J. Cann is getting a good look at that left tackle position. Pastors at the right tackle position. And right now Tyler Shatley is playing right guard. Then he gives to Johnson again, a little stretch play, and that's stopped by the Giants in the backfield for about a loss of 2. Devin Unga with the stop. Storm Johnson, a draft pick for the Jaguars out of Central Florida last year. See Tandon Doss, number 17. Brian Walters, 81. Copeland is 83. Damian Copeland is a second-year player out of Louisville. And still, Luke Bowanko is at the center position. 3rd and 11 for Chad Henne. Somebody up front for the Jaguars moved. Let's see who it is.
False start, 74 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Sam Young.
Second call against Sam Young for a false start. If you've got Owa Odigizua in front of you, you want to get that left leg back quickly.
You want a head start, no question.
Bernard Pierce is back in the game at Henne's left. Henne to throw. A little delay throw to Pierce. Being chased down and he'll step out of bounds after about a gain of 3 or 4, but not enough for the first down. And in comes Casey Redford to punt once again.
A good call for a screenplay to Bernard on the outside. Just defense instinctually read it, pursued it, made the play. Not a lot there.
Redford to punt. The 2 gunners are Walters and Washington. See if they can get downfield. The Giants could have an opportunity for good field position here. Nice high spiraling kick, drives him back to the 30-yard line. Parker runs to his right. Lulalele misses him, but is finally taken down. As we mentioned, Washington, one of the gunners, ended up down there and making the tackle. 53-yard kick, a 4-yard return on the Jaguars Television Network.
The Jaguars are inviting all women who love the game of football to meet me at the 50 on Thursday, October 15th with keynote speaker ESPN NFL host Susie Colbert. The event includes special appearances by Michaela and Coach Gus Bradley, Jaguars players and coaches. It also includes a Steinmart fashion show, live music, and a silent auction. Get your tickets now at jaguars.com/50.
Thanks, Nikki. First down for the Giants at the 34. I formation. Nassib gives to the tailback. Instantly taken down after a gain of 1. Jeremiah George gets up off the bottom of the pile. Good look at Jeremiah, number 54.
Made quite a few plays last week. Sam, in fact, led the team in tackles last week.
Very active. It's one thing about what they asked the Jaguars linebacking corps to do. They want them to be active. Gus Bradley says this almost every day at practice. Run and hit. And when you think about the linebacking corps, that's exactly what comes to mind with those guys.
And that's what they do. They're going to have some tough decisions to make when it comes down to deciding which linebackers are going to stay for this defense.
Armbrister, George, and Lutalele are the linebackers in right now. Nassib to throw. Oh, there's the hit. Once again.
There he is.
Thurston Armbrister with just a clear indication that he's not afraid of contact.
You know, it's one of the few hits that we've actually heard tonight, at least from up in the booth. A good football player.
3rd and 4. Armbrister, a free agent acquisition out of Miami, officially listed at 6'3" and just over 240. Nassib rolls right. Stretch play down the field. That'll be enough for a first down as the Jaguars can't quite corral Corey Washington
Tommy Campbell there, the fifth-year player out of California. On the defense, and Armbrister is coming out of the game. Looks like a cramp there. And a first down, Giants at the 47. Nassib with the slant, caught. Jeremy Davis with the catch. And once again, Nick Marshall now in the game at that one cornerback position. We're happy to have Toby Gerhart on the sidelines with us. Toby, once again, welcome. It is another productive first team effort, particularly running the football tonight.
Yeah, it was. We moved the ball well. We just got to finish with some touchdowns instead of field goals, but offense moved the ball well down the field.
Toby, you've had an impressive preseason so far. How are you feeling physically? You had that leg injury last year. How's your body?
Feeling good.
Good.
Out there, I had a lot of third down carries today, so kept moving those chains, running the same play right at them, and they couldn't stop it, so it was nice.
You had mentioned to us earlier in the week that it's nice to look at tape and see the line of scrimmage move a yard downfield before things start. That seemed to be the case again tonight.
It was. We fired off the ball good, attacking the run, and we kept the drives going. I'm excited about the progress of the offensive line, and I think our run game is going to be pretty good this year.
Toby, stay healthy. Great to spend some time with you. Thanks.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, Toby Gerhart had a nice night tonight, ended the third quarter here in New York as the Jaguars trail 12-9. See what happens here on the Jaguars television network.
Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a new name for luxury on the First Coast, Jaguar Jacksonville. JaguarJacksonville.com. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com for a free rate quote. And Bud Light, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the perfect beer for living life by your own playbook.
Fourth quarter in New York, some people have had some fun already. And then when you kick 7 field goals, sometimes that can be the reaction.
That guy wanted to see touchdowns tonight, not field goals.
He'd be cheering those touchdowns. Second down for the Giants at the Jaguars' 27-yard line. Ryan Nassib still the quarterback. A little rollout play and a little misdirection. Finally realizes there's nobody there, and that ball is thrown well out of bounds. Now time for our Zaxby's stats. New York controlled the ball there in that third quarter as they ran the football, and it was one of the quickest quarters that we've seen, and they have nearly caught up to the Jaguars in time of possession and have taken a 12-9 lead with 16 first downs.
Yeah, 7 of 15 on third down, which is keeping them on the field, which has to be frustrating the Jaguar defense.
Giants with third down. Nassib to throw over the middle. Nice play by Lutalele. John Lutalele sees the play developing, takes that drop into that spot. Doesn't just drop straight back, Mark. Sees where the quarterback's eyes are going and makes that two-step move.
Yeah, and quarterbacks are taught, understanding full well that linebackers are going to be underneath. You've got to get some elevation on that ball. Not a well-thrown ball. Lutalele does a good job defending that, but not a very good throw by Nassib.
Fourth down and another field goal attempt, this one of 46 yards. Josh Brown having a busy night. So far, 4 of 4. And with his 5th attempt, Jaguars jump off sides, and that'll give the Giants a first down. That one is no good, and this is not going to be good, and the kind of thing that Gus Bradley has preached against over and over.
Offsides, defense, number 41. A 5-yard penalty off the result or first down.
That's Nick Marshall, the quarterback from Auburn, trying to make this team as a special teams and cornerback. just a little bit of an early move, and the flag came out. It was 4th and 4, so the 5-yard penalty makes it 1st and 10 now for the New York Giants at about the 23.5.
And you can see Gus Bradley was not happy about that one, giving them an opportunity here at about the 23-yard line. Frustrating. Of course, you can understand Nick Marshall trying to make this team, trying to make a big play, just went a little too early there.
Marshall still in the game at corner. He'll cover the tight end here. Nassib sees something that he likes. Jaguars with one single high safety to give in the backfield, and another solid play. We'll see. This could be holding back there.
I think you're right.
That's where the throw is made, the call made by the umpire. Jeremiah George made the stop.
Holding.
Todd Thomas.
Number 60, 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
We haven't seen much of Todd Thomas, but because Armbrister is out of the game, Thomas, the rookie free agent from Pittsburgh, is getting some playing time. He wears number 44.
Yeah, clearly a holding penalty there brings them back.
Adam Geddes, number 60. Still first down for the Giants. Fourth quarter, 14:23 to play. James Jones is now in the slot. Nassib to throw the slant, and does. Jones with the catch and run, and that's a significant gain all the way down to the 18-yard line as the Giants pick up 15 on first down.
Excellent thrown ball on a slant route on the inside of the number 2 receiver. Nassib just drills it, throws a strike.
Ryan Nassib has played the entire game since Eli Manning left. Rolls right. There's that fastball again on the run. And that's caught for a first down.
Well, that's what Nassib could do for you. Gets outside the pocket. Clearly, he's very accurate. Doesn't like what he sees sitting in the pocket. And at the top of your screen, you're just going to see a short little comeback. Comes downhill, well-thrown ball. Good job securing, getting his feet inside.
Gain of 10.
First down.
Jeremy Davis, number 9 there, really catches the ball nicely, you can see. Brings it in, doesn't fight it. He's done a nice job for a rookie so far. Throw over the middle, and it looks like it could be a touchdown, and is. Touchdown Giants. Nassib to Dwayne Harris for the touchdown, and the Giants extend their lead here with 13-12 in the fourth quarter to 18-9.
Yeah, Nick Marshall on the coverage there, but that was, again, another well-thrown ball. I thought the coverage was decent there. You'll see on the screen here at the bottom, Nassib just knows exactly where he wants to go. Inside slant route. That ball just, there's only one place that ball can be. You can't blame the defensive back. You can't blame Nick Marshall for poor coverage on that. That was a great play.
Ryan Nassib is the third-year player out of Syracuse. And as we've talked about, even though listed at 6'2", 223, looks taller, rangier than that, and has an impressive arm. Doesn't look like a guy that doesn't look like that Mark Brunell, John Elway type, but
thank you.
But
I'll take that.
He can throw it, as Bill Walsh used to say, the high hard one.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's athletic too. We've seen him get outside the pocket a little bit, create some plays with his legs, extend some plays, get out of some danger, and keep him drives alive.
Brown with the extra point. That's 16 unanswered points by the Giants. Back after this on the Jaguars Television Network. Mistake by the Jaguars that allowed the first down and then consequently the touchdown throw. And now the Jaguars trail by 10. They've sent Tandon Doss back into the end zone, and we'll see exactly where the Giants decide to kick this ball. Josh Brown with plenty of leg, but they may want to look at some of their coverage as well, and they'll get a chance. Doss 3 yards deep to the 10, on the 20, and spun down at about the 21-yard line, and a flag comes in late.
Rarely is there not a flag on a kickoff.
As you said, guys are flying all over the place.
Especially in preseason.
I guess you've got to focus, if you're one of the officials, you've got to focus on one guy and see if he's, because you can't watch everybody. They're all running full speed. Once the Jaguars get this football back, we'll have a new quarterback in the game, Jeff Toole, who the Jaguars picked up as a free agent from Buffalo in the offseason, a second-year player out of Washington State. One of 3 quarterbacks on the Jaguars roster who is from the state of Florida.
During the return, illegal hands to the face, number 64 of the return team. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
The Jaguars are called for illegal hands to the face. There are 2 64s on the Jaguars roster, so not exactly sure which one it was called against. Nick Boango still at center, and there's Jeff Toole. Corey Grant is the deep back. And to give us to Grant, finds a little steam and then powers his way up for a short gain of 3, 2nd and 7.
It's a good opportunity for Jeff Toole. The connection, why he is a Jaguar, was on the practice squad last year for the Bills. And got a little playing time the previous year with Doug Marrone, the new offensive line coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the connection there.
And sometimes that's how guys' careers, you know, Doug Marrone, a former head coach, now the assistant head coach, offensive line coach here, knows what Jeff can do, understands what his strengths are, and feels like he can maybe be an addition here. Little throw to Corey Grant is too far in front of him. That'll bring down 3rd down. This is the time of the game where you look in the game and you see who's in there. 4th quarter, 12-23. Guys are now competing for spots on the roster.
Yes.
A lot of the same guys who we've seen through the 3rd quarter are still in the game. Just a new quarterback. As I mentioned, Boanko still at center. You see Sam Young at that left tackle position.
Yeah, they're playing their guys. You know, they're looking for depth. They're looking for backups, and a lot of these guys that will be backups are getting significant time.
Toole tried to buy some time, but then was brought down in the backfield. That'll be a sack for the Giants and a loss. The Giant DeMontre Moore.
Yeah, you see down here on the left side of your screen, Austin Pastor gets beat, but Jeff Toole has to know the pressure's coming. Does a good job securing the ball, not fumbling it, but understanding full well that ball needs to come out. Needs to get rid of it, or it's going to be a sack.
This will be the 5th consecutive drive that has ended with a punt for the Jaguars. And Casey Redford is back to punt once again. Giants should get good field position. Preston Parker at the 43. Dances around and is taken down. That is very solid coverage by the Jaguars. A 46-yard punt and -1 on the return. Back after this. This is Jaguars football. Time now for the drive of the game, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. And the drive of the game, Mark, is the one that ends up in a touchdown. Ryan Nassib directs that with a little help from Nick Marshall and the Jaguars.
Yeah, this drive's all about Ryan Nassib. Very accurate. Created some plays with his legs. Got outside the pocket. Good decisions. Ball was on time. Just some strikes. Pinpoint accuracy. Moved the ball down the field and got a touchdown. Our first of the night.
Nassib still in the game as the quarterback for the Giants. Hands it off, a gain of 4. Kenneth Harper, a free agent rookie from Temple, wears number 33, gets his first carry of the game. Jaguars bring Armbrister back in the game. Jeremiah George comes to the sidelines. Nick Marshall is down here, single coverage. Nassib looks under pressure and again fires a strike over the middle. Good solid gain for the Giants. Dwayne Harris makes the catch and takes the ball inside Jaguar territory, a gain of 28. 1st and 10 New York, 10:25 and counting in the fourth quarter.
Well, again, Nassib steps up and has some time there, but does a good job keeping his eyes downfield. Nice completion over the middle there.
When he's on the run, he has shown the ability to have some solid accuracy and have a little mustard on that thing.
Yeah, he really does. He has a strong arm and play action here. Look at it, keeps his eyes downfield, going through his progression. He gets popped right there as he delivers the ball, but an accurate throw gets a first down. He's been impressive tonight, Sam.
First down Giants at the 28 with a 10-point lead. And the give once again is to Harper. Moves the pile down inside the 25-yard line, maybe right at the 25, a gain of 3. Cappy is in the game, number 66, a good example of what can happen in this particular time of the game, where a guy who people don't expect to really be competitive for a roster spot shows what he can do in this situation.
And Sam, we saw it last week with Cap. Took everyone by surprise with a couple sacks and took advantage of his opportunity.
2nd and 7. Giants keep the ball on the ground. And there's a good solid off tackle made by Cappy.
Well, here's Cap last week. Again, a free agent from Akron. Nobody is expecting much from the young man, but he comes and makes some serious plays. Sacks the quarterback Landry Jones there. That was his 2nd sack. Just came to play, and he was exciting to watch, and he enjoyed every minute of it.
In case you're wondering, his first name is Nordley.
I like Cap.
N-O-R-D-L-Y, but
I can see why he goes by Cap.
To go by Cap. Nice throw again by Nassib. And that takes it down to about the 12-yard line. Gain of 14 and another first down Giants.
Well, here's another look at it. Again, Nassib actually gets his hand hit on that play, throws an accurate ball. Timing routes are tough to defend.
Tommy Campbell, the defender. And once again, James Jones, who's getting a lot of looks from the Giants tonight, makes the reception. The give into the backfield. The Jaguars see that. That's what the Jaguars are looking for out of Cappy. Can he set that edge? Can he be a solid run defender? A lot of guys can get after the quarterback, but they need somebody who can do both.
And Sam, you make a good point about setting the edge, because Cap, he's listed at 249 pounds right now. And listen, in the NFL, it's going to be tough to set any edge at that weight. So we've seen that he can rush the passer, but can he set that edge? Can he defend the run? Remains to be seen.
Jaguars have sent Richard Ash into the game, a free agent, another free agent from Western Michigan. He wears number 62. He's up front. And the Giants look like they'll take a timeout here and talk about it on 2nd and 11.
You can see the Giants are using the clock. They're getting that play clock down inside 5 just about every play, taking advantage of this lead.
That lead is 10, 19-9, 7:14 to play. This is Jaguars football. Enjoy an amazing view of the field along with the comfort of an air-conditioned lounge from the all-new private Terrace Suite Chalets, located in the Terrace Suite in the south end zone. All-inclusive experience including premium parking, premium food and beverage, full bar, private TVs, and personal wait staff. For more information, you can visit Jaguars.com or call 904-633-2000. Good look at a couple Jaguar fans that made the trip here.
Good selection of jersey there.
Absolutely. No question about that, as the Giants keep it on the ground and move it inside. You went through many iterations of different Jaguar jerseys.
You guys didn't tell me this was going to be on here.
At the same time, the same guy was always yelling at you.
That was my guy. I learned a lot about football from Tom Coughlin. He taught me so much about the position, about being a professional.
Mark was our quarterback from 1995 and 2003, and there's a throwback jersey from, I don't know, maybe 1998, something like that. Bassett with the throw into the end zone, and that's incomplete. That'll bring up another opportunity. Jeremy Davis is the intended receiver, and the Giants will once again bring Josh Brown in and try to kick a field goal.
Another field goal.
Good look at Tom, who always wants to win these preseason games. Last year, if you remember, one of the 3 games won by the Jaguars was at home against the Giants. And Tom talked about the second half of that game not being anything what he thought was any kind of football that he would have liked to have seen, as once again Brown converts from 28 yards to now make it 22-9. More Jaguar football after this, because this is Jaguars football. Here's tonight's Everbank Catch of the game. Register for Everbank Catch for the card contest at jaguars.com/jagscard. No purchase required to enter or win. The catch of the game, the second possession back in the first quarter by Allen Robinson. Nice crossing route there, Mark.
Nice crossing route. Blake made it easy for him. Short pass, long run. That's what you're looking for. Good catch.
Tandon Doss is back for the Jaguars, and again, he'll have an opportunity to bring this out from the goal line. Doss to the 10, the 15, and a stop right there as the Jaguars will have first down. Nikita Whitlock, number 49, makes the stop. Allen Robinson and Alan Hearns there be counted on heavily for the Jaguars as wide receivers this week. Don't forget, next week, Mark, it's the third preseason game. You're going to see the starters in. It's a network broadcast next week on Friday night against Detroit. But you'll see the starters into the second half. That's what coaches are looking for.
They typically do in the third week of preseason. It's a regular week schedule. And yes, they'll go into the third quarter typically because they want to go into the half and get used to what it's like to come back on the field in the second half. They stay in the game for 3 quarters. And so it'll be interesting to see. I wish we could do the game together. It'll be a good one.
That would be a lot of fun. We'll be back the following week, Thursday night at Washington, the final preseason game of the year, September 3rd, right here on the Jaguars television network. Tony Washington with the catch from Jeff Toole over the middle. And that was ruled incomplete. And Johnson is taken down, flags all over the place. And we'll see what the call is here. Jaguars with some more new personnel in the game up front and in some different spots.
Holding, offense, number 67, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Holding on Austin Pastors. Casey Kloss, number 3, is in the game, is one of the receivers for Jeff Toole. Brian Walters is 81. He's in the slot left. Connor Hamlet is in the slot right as one of the tight ends in the game. Last play was a loss of 1, so now 3rd and 11. Toole looks left and throws. Nice catch. We'll see if he has the first down or not, but that was a good catch by Casey Kloss, the free agent from Portland State, which is also the home school of Julius Thomas.
Well, there's another collision here. Good focus, good concentration by Kloss here.
So here on 4th and very short in another situational opportunity from the 25 with 5:37 to play. Gus Bradley leaves his offense in the game and will go for it here. Everybody's at the line of scrimmage. Nice second effort. That looks like he got it as a first down. That was very solid. Once again shows get behind your pads, get down, and push somebody the other direction.
You're right, Sam. I mean, low man wins. You just keep moving those legs, driving those legs, going forward. And it didn't look pretty early. It didn't look like he was going to get anything, but that last surge allowed them to get the first down.
Storm Johnson with the carry. That brings Corey Grant back in the game. Grant is to Jeff Toole's left. Jaguars with a slot right. false start once again.
False start, number 64, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Chris Reed, the free agent from Minnesota State, getting a good look here in the fourth quarter. First action of the year.
Again, these guys just trying to get a little head start. A little nervous. Been sitting around for 3.5 quarters, and now they're on the field. It's not easy to do.
Toole in the shotgun. Finds a man in the flat. Caught. And up to the 30-yard line. Connor Hamlet makes that catch. Hamlet also a free agent from Oregon State. Hamlet, maybe the second tallest player on the team, 6'7".
Yeah, he's tall. He's got good hands. He's had a pretty good camp, too. This is a good opportunity for him as well.
Toole to throw. Looks right. Checks down and finds a receiver. Corey Grant makes the catch. That'll bring up third down and 4. With just over 4 minutes to play here in New Jersey.
Interesting that they're huddling. I think they've conceded here. You would think this would be a 2-minute opportunity where they're in their hurry up and trying to get that up-tempo offense, but they're taking more time than they should if they want to score points.
Toole sending Kloss to the other side of the formation, so now there's 3 to the left. He looks right, looks left, looks right again. And as you said, Mark, nice hands by Connor Hamlet. Makes the catch, and that's a first down Jaguars, a gain of 13.
An injured Giant, I believe.
Is that what that is?
Down on the Jaguar sideline.
I couldn't quite tell if that was a coach or a Giant or... Yeah, that's a player down. Okay. Looks like it's Bennett Jackson, number 24. That's who that is.
Well thrown ball here. Good job by Connor, focusing, tucking that ball, knowing that
it's fine here. Now he's not fine. Kind of bent his right knee there for a second.
Yeah, Jackson looks hurt there.
Stayed down. That's a hard catch to make. It's a hard throw to make as well.
It really is.
You're going away at an angle, so there's the perception of where to throw the ball, and the receiver is running in that direction, but has to look back over his shoulder to make that catch.
Yeah, it's a corner route. They're not easy to throw. They're not easy to catch. It's all about timing. Clearly, these guys have worked together, Hamlet and Jeff Toole, but a good positive play for both players.
Which is why it's so effective when it works, because it's hard to do, which means it's very hard to cover as well.
It really is.
Tight end running to a situation where there is no defender there. A guy has to chase after him.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
We're at the home of the New York Giants, obviously, at MetLife Stadium, and the Giants lost one of their icons in the last 2 weeks, Frank Gifford, a Hall of Famer in 1977, played for the Giants from 52 to 60, and then sat out the 61 season, and then played 62, 3, and 4. Made the Pro Bowl at several different positions, really also blazed a pathway for athletes to become announcers, to get into the sports world of announcing. Frank Gifford died just a week short of his 85th birthday at his home in Connecticut. I spent some time with Frank Gifford in the 70s, and I remember reading an article that was entitled "The Coolest Guy in the Room."
That's right.
And that's always exactly what
Frank
I thought
Gifford.
of him, because that's what he was. That ball is tipped and incomplete. Nice play by Devin Unga, number 47.
Again, they're huddling up. Sam?
They are, and the clock is running. Not at this moment, but clock stopped on the incomplete. 3:19 to play, 22-9 at MetLife Stadium for the second preseason game of the year. Corey Grant in the backfield. He's to Jeff Toole's right. Jeff steps up, throws it over. Nice catch made by Corey Grant for a positive gain. He'll get out of bounds at the 48-yard line. And that'll bring up third down and 5, gain of 5.
Like you said, real good catch by Corey. That was not a well-thrown ball at all.
Tandon Doss is now split wide right. Brian Walters is in the slot left. And that's Casey Kloss wide left. Jeff feels pressure, runs to his right, tucks it, and decides he's going to duck his head and get that first down.
He wanted that first down.
He did.
I thought there was going to be a collision there, Sam.
Gain of 6 and a first down, Jaguars.
And he's pretty determined here that he's going to get that first down.
Yeah, he thought he was going to take a much bigger hit than that as well.
And if he wasn't a quarterback, he would have taken a much bigger hit.
Jeff Toole listed at 6'3", 221. There's Corey Grant in the backfield, looks over the middle. Nice throw here, and a good catch once again. This is where Brian Walters just excels. He's going to catch the ball. If he's open, if it's delivered to him, he is going to catch it. He does that, a gain of 22 as the Jaguars have the ball 1st and 10 at the 20.
Walters is a competitor, and he's been all over the place in preseason, having a very good camp and made some nice catches the last couple weeks.
Single coverage on Kloss. Ball slightly overthrown. Josh Gordy, number 35, in the coverage. Casey Kloss listed at 6'3", 205. They want some of those tall, rangy receivers to be able to catch that back shoulder, to go up in a one-on-one situation and win that ball.
Sam, it makes such a difference when you have a tall receiver. Receivers at 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", those guys that, like you say, can go up and get that ball. It's a huge advantage against corners that typically aren't that tall.
13th play of the drive for the Jaguars, thrown slightly behind Tandon Dawson, now incomplete. Take a guy like who you still work with, Chris Luzar.
Sure.
Who was a tall guy, a fun target for you to throw to because you knew he could get through.
And it's funny you should say that. When I look at Connor Hamlet, I think of Chris Luzar. Real tall, lanky, long strides, really good hands, can run good routes. But yeah, those taller receivers make all the difference in the world.
Jaguars 3rd and 10 from the 20. Jeff Toole moves Corey Grant to the other side. Ball snapped over his head, and see who gets it. Ball is still loose. Grant's on the bottom of that pile, and it looks like he does recover it. Good awareness by Corey Grant. Quickly jumped on that ball after it bounced out again, and the Jaguars have 4th and very long, and we'll see what they decide to try to do here.
It looks like Myers is stepping out for this long field goal. Sure is.
Myers will get an opportunity to kick it from about 57. If you remember last week against the Steelers, he missed a 58-yarder, had plenty of leg for it. And that's the 2-minute warning. We'll see if the Jaguars stick to the field goal attempt here after the 2-minute warning, right here on the Jaguars Television Network. Back here in New Jersey, where the Jaguars trail 22-9 at the 2-minute warning here in the 4th quarter. It appears that they will give Jason Myers an opportunity to kick it from 55 yards.
He has a leg.
Brian Anger will hold. This one's plenty long. And good again. Once again, field goals for the Jaguars. This one from 55 yards. Jason Myers has had a big night in front of a lot of his friends and family who are here at MetLife Stadium to see him play. Gus Bradley had told us earlier today that he would let Josh Scobie start the game, kick an extra point, kick a field goal, kick off, and then it would be up to Myers for the rest of the game. He wants to see how he reacts, not just in a one-kick situation, but
multiple,
anticipating, this drive, that drive, are you ready? How do you warm up? All the different things that kickers have to do to prepare in a game situation. And that, Mark, is our Bud Light play of the game.
A field goal, Sam?
Big solid field goal for the Jaguars once again. Field goals. Josh.
Big smile.
Scobie kicked one from more than 50, but now Jason Myers with 38, 49, and 55 yards.
You know, Sam, in all likelihood, Josh Scobie's going to be our kicker. But this is great for Jason Myers. He's auditioning for 31 other teams, and there will be a need. He will keep kicking this way through the remainder of preseason. He's going to find himself on a ball club.
He'll be on somebody's roster at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good for him.
Stays in the game to kick off. And it'll be interesting to see if they ask him to kick it into the end zone or not.
And if you want to work on situational football, it's a perfect opportunity for an onside kick, which I believe they're lining up for.
And that's why the Giants called timeout.
Yeah, they weren't ready in the second week of preseason for onside kick return.
If you look out there, the Jaguars have their hands team out there. Corey Grant is out there, as well as a couple of tight ends, a couple of different players that you wouldn't normally see. Nick Jacobs is out there. Washington, Walters.
Yeah, they're changing it up now. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. It'd be great to get the ball back.
Jaguars do have 5 players on both sides of the ball, and it looks like he's going to kick it deep, and he does. The Giants anticipating perhaps a onside kick. Let that one go all the way through the end zone.
Well, we're back at home next week against the Lions, and if you want to up your game, what about checking out some of the merchandise in the Jaguar stores? Check out those, the sandals slash wedge. They have all kinds of new logoed gear that you could be sporting at this season's home games and more. For more information, you can check out the store locations in Everbank Field. They currently open up on game day 2 hours prior to kickoff. So, Sam, while you can't bring the fanny pack, those wedges would sure look good.
I agree, particularly with what I'm wearing now. Ricky Stanzi is the quarterback, former Jaguar, good friend of Blake Bortles. Stanzi with the give. Kenneth Harper with a gain of 2. Ricky Stanzi out of Iowa, 5th-year player, tall quarterback with a real nice arm, 6'4", 228 officially. And as I said, he and Blake,
good friends.
Really good friends, really worked a lot together.
Ricky's he's a great guy, and this is his 5th season. However, he has yet to play in a regular season game in his career.
Wow.
Yeah. He's had plenty of preseason, and he's done well. And the Jaguars liked him last year, but as you know, they typically NFL rosters are keeping 2 quarterbacks. And last year that was Blake and Chad, and so there really wasn't a place for Ricky. But listen, when he's on the field, he does well.
Stanzi signed with the Giants, and we'll see where he ends up at this point, as you said, in his 5th year in the National Football League. Good effort out of the backfield by Kenneth Harper. Finally brought down, and it'll be a first down, Giants. The clock continues to run at 1:30 to play in the 4th quarter.
Unfortunately for Ricky, this is officially called mop-up time. I don't expect him to throw. Well, maybe Tom allowed him to sling it around a little bit.
1, maybe. Jaguars do have Nick Marshall in the game.
No, they're not going to throw out of this.
No, that is not generally a throwing the victory formation. I can remember you guys practicing victory formation.
We practice everything, Sam. We were on the field for 3.5 hours.
Speaking of being on a lot, the morning show on Channel 4. Get a great start to your day, and they won't waste your time. The morning show on Channel 4 makes mornings happen.
No stone was going to be left unturned with Coach Coughlin. He practiced everything, but it was good for us, as you know.
All I know
it was
is
good for us.
He is the only coach in the history of the NFL to actually hold a practice at the Pro Bowl. Okay, I can't tell you how many players that year came back and complained to me. You were the MVP of the Pro Bowl.
You know, in 2 of those Pro Bowls, I was there. My coach was Tom Coughlin. I had just had 6 months of Tom Coughlin, and then a week in Hawaii with them too. All kidding aside, it was great.
More of that. Absolutely. 1997, you were the MVP of the Pro Bowl,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
Very good. Jaguars fall in game number 2 in the preseason to the New York Giants. 22-12 is the final. Nikki, what do you got for us down there?
Well, I'm here with Roy Miller, and Roy, I know in the beginning of the game you were able to hold Manning to 2-11 at the start. And you guys were doing a really good job with the D.
Yeah, it felt good to go out there and play fast. I think that's what the defense did out there initially. We just got to work on being more consistent throughout the game, and I think it's a perfect time for that.
I know coaches talked so much about you guys stopping the explosive plays. How do you feel you did with that tonight?
Like I said, we did all right. You know, it's a good time to be critical of yourself, and I think that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to look at ourselves very hard and just find out what we can do to stop those plays.
All right, you played a great game. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Very good. Here's the Zaxby stats. Jaguars with 12 points and 16 first downs. 60 yards rushing, 184 passing, 7 of 18 on third downs. And the Giants came back in the second half to win the game. 22-12 was the final. Once again, our final score, 22-12. Jaguars preseason football is produced by Winkler Productions, LLC, and is an exclusive presentation of WJXT, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the NFL. Our next preseason telecast is September 3rd from Washington. The Jaguars and the Redskins. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast of tonight's game. For Mark Brunell and Nikki Kimmelton, I'm Sam Cabarrus saying good night from New York.